Before we get started, if you haven't heard about Anchor by Spotify, it's the easiest way to make a podcast with everything you need all in one place. Let us explain.
Anchor has the tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast straight from your phone or computer.
When hosting on Anchor, you can distribute your podcast on listening platforms like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and more.
It is everything you need to make a podcast in one place.
And best of all, Anchor is totally free.
Download the Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started.
Saying 5 stars?
I'm not saying them doing it.
Oh.
The intro should just be 5 stars, 5 stars, 5 stars, 5 stars.
Dang it, that's so good.
Keep that as a soundbite.
That's your intro, buddy.
All right, that's great.
You just talked your way into an intro.
And now into the episode.
Welcome to another episode of Searching for MacGuffin with your hosts,
George.
Dan.
Gabe.
And Link.
So, what you guys watched lately?
I've been watching Curb Your Enthusiasm.
No.
Oscar
What?
movies.
Okay. Dan?
Nothing.
Don't say Euphoria.
No, actually, not Euphoria.
This week's episode focuses on a very important film. One that snuck up on me. I don't know how you guys felt, but apparently everyone is talking about it. The Batman.
Bum, 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 bum.
I didn't get the memo on this one.
Yeah.
Because you're not in sync with the bats.
That's not fair.
The Bat Street Boys.
Ah.
There's so many puns, man. It's incredible.
Okay, so I mentioned that this movie kind of snuck up on me. I was like, yeah, there's a new Batman movie, of course. A year has passed, so we have to make a new movie with Batman in it. What about you guys? Were you anticipating this? What were your expectations?
I saw Fandom because they said they were going to drop the trailer. I think this was like August 2020.
Mm-hmm.
They dropped the trailer. Because first they announced Pattinson as the new Batman. I'm like, for a split second, I'm like, eh. But then I was like, you know what? I'm going to give him a chance. I feel like they should know what they're going to be doing, even though they haven't had a very good track record since the last one, in my opinion. But I was like, you know what? I have faith. And then they dropped the trailer, and I was like, yeah, I'm sold. Like, that's probably one of my most anticipated movies.
Really?
Yeah.
They had me from the first
That
trailer.
first
as well.
trailer, like, they sold me, man.
I mean, I feel like the ceiling was already pretty low.
I mean, yeah.
It's not like anything you did that's better than Batman, Batflick as Batman.
But the
you
ceiling
did.
was also really high because of the Nolan films.
Yeah.
So-
Yeah,
that
but I
ceiling's
didn't think
been
I
high.
didn't.
Yeah, but I don't think
I
we
didn't
ever
So here's the
imagined-
good thing.
It was awkward.
All you had to do was beat whatever Snyder did, right?
That's fair.
And I didn't expect anything to ever beat the Nolan films.
You know,
So if you're in between, you're good.
yeah, you know, I didn't feel
I
that
think
way
so.
because I think I agree with what Danny said. It was like we already saw the high and the low, and I was like, I don't know now. Now I feel like they don't know which way to go. Like we're never gonna get to the heights of the Dark Knight again. So it's like, is it even worth? Like if the movie's okay, how many okay Batman movies am I gonna go watch? You know, where it's like, can they just make more amazing Spider-Man movie? You know what I mean? Like if the next series isn't great, you know, am I gonna keep being interested in these films?
Mm-hmm.
So that's where I was. Also, I lost like all interest in everything that I was waiting for before the pandemic. Because so much time passed that it was just like, yeah, I'll see it when I see it. Like, I wasn't super excited about this movie, which turned out great for me. We've been here before. Before we get into a very deep and heavy spoiler-filled conversation about this movie, we have a long history of Batman in film. So I want to start off by asking you guys, before we get here, who is your Batman? Which cinematic actor defines Batman to you? And I guess I'll start. For me, it's the first Batman I ever saw, 1989, on my VHS tape, and then again in the theaters in 92. Batman Returns, Michael Keaton. We've talked about the Keaton films a little bit in the past.
Mm-hmm.
I think I've mentioned that it's like one of my earliest cinematic memories. What was your experience with the Keaton films?
Those were I think he was the third Batman I actually ended up seeing.
Really?
Yeah. I saw the other two, which I'll probably get into after, but
The good ones.
I think I just distinctly remember the villains from those movies.
Mm-hmm.
The Jack Nicholson as the Joker. And then Penguin, Catwoman. I think those were really, I don't know, the images of those villains really stuck in my head, even though I had such iconic roles as Arnold Schwarzenegger as Mr. Freeze. But those were like I was like, when I was a kid, those movies they were fun for me, especially watching them in Spanish and having Arnold yell in Spanish. But I really did like Michael Keaton's films. But like those weren't like the ones I would rewatch every so often. I guess because the others were on cable on TV a lot more often, so I'd watch those more.
They're probably cheaper to license.
Yeah.
The Tim Burton movies for me were the first time that I experienced a comic book come to life. And I think that that's my first like, wow, you can do this on film. And I think that up to this day, that's their legacy that they uphold. The most comic book like movie when we talk about, the medium. I think what we like about the later films is that they're grounded, they're realistic, they're more like a movie. But to me, it was like, for a lot of people, they felt that way when Superman came out. Obviously, Superman's a 70s movie. I wasn't born.
Yeah.
At the time, I went back, and even I appreciate those movies even more as an adult now. Like the Richard Donner films, the Christopher Reeves, those first two ones. Wow, they're like great cinematic pieces. Superman come to life. To me, it was Batman. That was Batman. And I think that's what makes me connected to Batman, that I was like 4 or 5 years old the first time I saw Batman. And I was like, that's it. This is the coolest guy in the world. And he's going to be my main when it comes to these kinds of stories.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, that would always be Michael Keaton.
For me, my Batman, I think since you guys know how much I love comedy, I think my favorite Batman is Will Arnett. I love Lego Batman. It's produced by my boys, Phil Lord and Chris Miller. I love everything they do. So
They're from Miami, right?
Phil Lord is from Miami. Chris Miller, I don't know where he's from. Not from Miami. But yeah, I just love those two movies.
There's Miami. There's the rest of the world.
Yeah,
Probably from Fort
exactly. That's
Lauderdale or
how it should
something.
be. But I honestly love Lego Batman. I think it's hilarious. The fact that you also get Michael Cera as Robin, and then you see that little Arrested Development connection there with Job and Mike and George Michael. I kind of love that a lot. So, and I think Michael Cera stole the movie for me, and I think Will Arnett is the perfect voice for Batman, like a modern perfect voice for Batman. And so I really enjoy Lego Batman.
That is a hot take.
It is.
What is your favorite Batman? Lego Batman.
I got it on the
But
first
I like
try.
it. I do like it.
Yeah, it's very Link, right?
Exactly. Legos.
That movie's so good.
That movie is
That
really
movie
good.
is good.
That movie was a surprise to me because I think Lego, like Batman, was so good in the Lego movie.
Yeah, I didn't expect it to be so
and I was
funny
like,
or good.
the whole movie of it.
Wasn't Sauron in that movie?
Yeah. The mashup of that movie is what I think.
What a crossover.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think for me, it's got to be Christian Bale. With the raspy voice and all. No, but Batman Begins, Dark Knight Rises are such influential films in how I view movies and storytelling. And I mean, like you said, I think from a young age, the first ones I saw, I think, were the George Clooney ones.
Mm-hmm.
There's only one.
No, the Joel Schumacher ones.
The Schumacher ones.
The Kilmer and the Clooney.
Yeah, okay.
George Clooney, and then
What about you? Like, what was your first one?
My first movie in theaters was Bat Nipple. whichever one that one is. I don't know. I lose track
it's
of
Forever, right?
That's and Robin. If it's Batman,
Batman and Robin, yeah.
it's Forever. If it's only Chris O'Donnell's Robin nipples.
Nah, it was Bat Nipples. That's
Yeah,
all I know.
So Batman.
And
and
I remember
Robin.
I had a toy, and he had fat nipples, and I would make him like pretend to be with the girls, and the girls would like touch his nipples.
All right.
You did this, Schumacher. You scarred Link forever.
Oh, but yeah, Christian Bale. Even though when I saw Batman Begins, I could have swore that guy was Tom Cruise. But now Christian Bale's one of my favorite actors, and I think a huge part of that is those Batman films, which led me to go see his other work.
Yeah, like lifelong Christian Bale fan now because of Batman. I feel the same way about Keaton. I followed his career as a kid. He's like, "There's Batman. I gotta go watch that movie."
And
Yeah.
now he's Vulture. He lived long enough to become the villain.
Now he's
A rat with wings.
A rat with wings. El Rata.
All right, Dan. What? Whoa, we're not there yet.
You are personally, I think Ben Affleck. I have a
Get out of
strong
here. Get out of here.
connection,
Get out of here.
especially after the Snyder cut. Yeah, I really felt-
Danny also obviously has a affinity for comedy.
No, Pattinson,
What?
the Twilight guy.
Pattinson.
That's crazy.
Nah,
No
he's,
way.
he's no longer the Twilight guy. Guys.
What?
Come on.
This is crazy.
No way, but
That's not
yes,
possible.
Pattinson.
How? Why?
I don't know. We're about to talk about.
For a really long time.
I think he just, he just glows in the, he sprinkles.
He sparkles.
that
he
never
sparkles in
happened.
the
He
day.
shines.
He
Spoilers,
shines in the
guys.
day.
Oh, he does shine though. That is true.
And at night,
He's
Oh,
anemic.
he sparkles in that movie in Twilight, doesn't he?
yeah.
He's anemic in
Forgot
this
about
movie.
that.
Okay. So I hate to have this conversation, especially if you guys haven't seen the movie. So if you haven't seen the movie, should they tune
Wait,
out
really
now,
quick,
or-
really quick.
Yeah,
I
go
know
ahead.
we all mentioned who our favorite Batmans are,
Uh-huh.
but I do want to give a special shout out to, I think, the voice of Batman, because whenever you
Oh,
read a
yeah,
comic
yeah,
book, this is a voice
yeah,
that's
it is
in your
his
head,
voice.
and that is Kevin Conroy
That is
from the
fact.
Batman animated series.
And that's true, and he is a cinematic Batman because I thought maybe he's not in contention because
no, he's in the video game.
no he's a
he's in the-
cinematic Batman
yeah, in the
because Mask of the Phantasm. I went to go watch that in the theater.
That's a
That was a
theatrical
theatrical release.
Ah,
Yeah, so that's a movie
Yeah.
that came out in the theaters.
I mean, yeah, like we
A
all
Killing
read,
Joke too,
we've all,
right?
we all grew up reading Batman comics. What was the voice in your head when you read it?
it was his man.
It was his voice. And who was the voice of Joker for
Mark
you?
Hamill.
Hamill.
There you go.
It's
That's
still
it.
Mark Hamill every time.
So
As epic as like the Heath Ledger performances,
it's always
I
Mark
can't
Hamill.
read the comics
Yeah.
and ledgers.
it's such a specific take.
Yeah.
So that's why I think he's probably the best one. But
Yeah, especially because the man has done it for years and
Years,
years
yeah.
throughout projects, the trilogy of
But
games.
I think that solidifies it. It's the games,
Oh, the games,
the
yeah.
TV shows,
Yeah.
and
the
films.
films, yeah.
You did mention like the Killing Joke. It had a limited theatrical. That's like a fan event. But like Mask of the Phantasm had a full run in the theaters, not just one night or
This
two
movie's
nights.
so good, man.
Okay. But also, yeah, he's constantly coming back for these animated movies, even to this day. Like he's not done.
No. Like Mask of the Phantasm is so
Oh.
good, not the Killing
Yeah, I was
Joke.
really confused as to why you
I was-
said that.
Oh,
I was like,
I
what?
got
What?
offended.
How old is he now?
Conroy?
Yeah.
that's a
gotta
good
be
question.
What is he at?
You are our chair
Yeah,
guy.
you should
You're
be
the chair
in
guy.
the chair,
Okay, well,
yeah.
today I'm not
Show.
in a computer. I'm in the room. So I outsource today.
Kevin.
Delegate.
He's 66.
There you go. That's you Google faster than me.
He went to
That's not
Wikipedia.
bad.
He has a Wikipedia app.
Oh, okay.
I didn't even know they
He,
had an
he
app.
beat the
I
middleman.
I mean, I haven't had it for like 5 iPhone models ago. I had a Wikipedia app. So full disclosure, it's really late at night right now. This movie is a 3.5 hour experience in the theaters. So
3.5.
Trailers and stuff.
yeah, it's 3 hours. And well, 2 of the 3 times that we saw it didn't have trailers. We were privileged enough to go to the Fan Fest, and then the AMC Investor had
Investor
limited, right? It started about 15 minutes after
Yeah.
showtime, but it's about half an hour of trailers. So if you go to a normal screening,
And we had Nicole Kidman.
yeah, yeah, she takes like 8 minutes, I think.
But she was in a Batman movie.
That's true.
Ah.
So if you haven't seen this movie, stop the show right here and dedicate 3.5 hours of your life.
If you're working, just leave.
Yeah.
Quit.
Just quit your
Yeah.
job.
If you're studying,
mean,
you
I
can
would-
fail.
Take a very long bathroom
Just
break.
take your PTO.
See, honestly,
That
that's
or-
what I think
probably
it's
better
worth
advice.
It.
That
no,
or
no.
you know
Quit.
what?
Quit your job.
You know what always helps for me, and they could never test you for this. Just say you have chronic diarrhea.
Mm,
That's it. No one's ever gonna check your stool.
It-
It's a foolproof.
Amazon. if you work at Amazon,
If you work at Amazon, I'm sorry.
don't lie to Amazon.
Yeah.
They know.
They know.
They're
They
listening
know,
to
yeah,
you
they
in
do
your
know.
house. So check out now because it's about to get real spoiler. I made this comment earlier. I wasn't sure that I could have this conversation with someone who hasn't seen the movie because you mentioned Pattinson, and that's like a crazy thing to even say. But like, I respect that, right, guys? Like,
Yeah.
that makes sense.
Yeah, I love millennial.
Pattinson.
I love
About
millennial Batman.
Pattinson,
Yeah,
if I'm gonna be honest, Bale's my favorite, but I think
Pattinson.
he's the best Batman.
wow.
He is.
I don't know if I'm ready to commit to that just yet, but
I
can. accept it.
ascribe.
You subscribe or
I
subscribe?
subscribe
I'm still
or
gonna go for
ascribe.
subscribe.
So let's get this started, people.
So remember, if you haven't watched it, go say you have diarrhea. Come back. and
Take
watch
your
it.
PTO.
Explosive. If you describe it as explosive,
Explosive, yeah.
Yes.
they'll ask less.
From here on,
they'll
it's all
ask
spoilers.
less questions.
Oh, that is a tongue twist.
So, Dan, the producer, has seen this once.
Yes.
Me and Link have seen it twice,
Yes, sir.
and Gabe has seen it 3 times.
That seems to be the way that
Correct.
this always goes with
Okay.
movies.
Yeah.
I'll watch it once. You guys will have already seen it twice, and Gabe will be watching it with me on his third
That's
viewing.
Actually, yeah, that's true.
Is
That's
that a passive
usually how they
aggressive
go.
complaint? Or?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't see
Really?
it. I didn't think
Oh,
it was passive
sorry.
aggressive.
No, it's not. But it is when you guys mock me for watching it on opening night.
Yeah, because we had already seen it twice before opening night.
I didn't-
Opening day, actually, because he didn't even go on opening night.
I didn't mock you.
Sure.
I-
Oh, you're right.
he doesn't contribute to our chat, so there's
Oh,
no way
you're
for
right,
him
because
to-
we're muted.
You were
Yeah.
muted.
Yeah,
Yeah, oops.
breaking news: Link mutes us.
Yeah,
Well, Link had a busy week.
I had
I'll
a
give him
busy
that.
week, yeah.
He had a busy year.
But I was fending for my life.
Oh, my bad. Next time, she text me separately and be like, hey, I need defense.
Ah, so I'm not muted
need
outside the
defense.
chat.
Need defense.
Now I know.
Nah, he's just being nice.
No, I'll be there to fight for you.
Like Batman.
You are the Juji to my Toto.
You're
You'll
the
be your silent
Batman
guardian.
to my darkness.
Your
the,
watchful protector.
You're the bat to my nipples.
The Batman. Where to begin?
The beginning.
Where did this movie win you over?
Oh, the beginning,
Yeah, I think we can all
No,
agree.
the first 20 minutes, like
bro.
October 31st.
That when he starts narrating, I'm like,
Mhm.
whoa, is this a comic book movie?
Yeah, I was like, this is the first.
This is the first time I've ever heard someone narrate a comic book movie.
Well, I think the first scene with the Riddler sets the tone.
Ah, true.
Like him like spying on this character, and then he comes in and he's just like all creepy and then basically murders him.
Sets the tone.
I think that was just very like,
It does.
this is gonna be different. Like it felt like even the music, the themes, like it was just very like, this is gonna be kind of creepy, like pretty scary, like maybe a bit scarier than we've seen before.
Yeah, right on the edge of like what a PG-13 movie could be.
Because
Mhm.
in The Dark Knight, it takes a while for you to see the Joker, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, no, isn't he? I mean, to see him like,
Yeah.
isn't that the opening scene where they rob the bank?
But no, like the like Joker, like in all his evilness. Is that the best way to describe it? Not glory.
I don't
Yeah,
know.
definitely
He
not
like
glory.
he like betrays everyone on his team and then has some guy run over by a bus.
Doesn't he do the pencil trick
Yeah,
pretty early
Yeah,
on?
that's like
you
when he
talking
does
about,
it.
you talking
yeah.
when he starts there?
Yeah, when
Oh,
the
okay.
pencil trick, that's when you get to, because he's actually talking.
Oh,
Like,
yeah, I mean,
Oh,
I guess
so-
in that case you're right, because this opens with like the Riddler is like the real deal.
yeah.
When he establishes himself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I think what got it for me was when he's narrating and he has that line where he says, "Oh, they hide in the shadows because they think they're hiding from me, but that's where I am." Or he says something along
He
those
says,
lines.
"I am the shadow."
I am the shadows. When he said that, I'm like, I think I looked at Gabriel and I'm like, I'm sold, bro.
My
Yeah,
favorite
man.
part early on there is where like the criminal looks over his shoulder and he just stares into the abyss of the shadows, and Batman's not there.
But what I love
With
to
that
Sorry, go ahead.
fear induced like in the hearts and minds, like he's living in their heads.
You're
you know?
talking about the one with the drop, like the mask, the costume,
No, when they're spray painting.
or the spray
Well,
paint.
Yeah.
I mean, there's
The spray
multiple
paint
moments
and then
like
the
that.
cat, and then the,
I mean, yeah,
Because
it's
they
like
all
a
have a
montage.
moment like
Yeah,
that,
it's like,
yeah.
And
But the thing is that I love that one with, because the one with the can, the spray painting was amazing. But I think the one with the it's like a teardrop or something.
No, I
don't know,
think it's like a
ghoul
jack o'
mask.
lantern.
Yeah,
I know
the green one.
Mm-hmm.
I think like that face, like you don't actually see the person that's under the mask. You just see the mask just like staring at him. It's like it's up to you to interpret how like what he's feeling underneath it. Because I don't know, it's just
I need to watch this movie again.
Tell me about it.
I mean, by the third time I was taking notes.
I think it's such a.
I saw that, by the way. I saw you
That-
taking notes.
Those beginning, like when he's narrating, it's such a Frank Miller moment.
Yes.
Like when he describes when he's calling himself vengeance, when he calls himself the shadow, I'm like, dang, this is Frank Miller right here.
And the visuals of Gotham in those first shots that establish it, and when he's like walking through and he's like talking about he's for the past he establishes like it's been 2 years, and that over the past 2 years he's been a nocturnal animal, and it's just that like when he's walking through Gotham and all the lights are on and it's raining and it's pouring and everyone's in costumes because it's Halloween. There was just something that like immediately captivated me, that threw me into like, this is Gotham.
Yeah.
Gotham in a way that we've never seen before.
Yep.
I talked about the Burton films where it's like Gotham come to life. It's like a Gothic painting. It's like
It really
this
is.
idealized, like this city doesn't exist in the world. And that's beautiful. And then you go into like the Nolan movies. And I mean, I don't mean to like insult because I love the vision of those films, but it's like, it's basically Chicago.
It
Yeah.
is, yeah.
It's kind of bright. It's kind of open wide. It's not really Gotham, you know? It's like a real world city.
No, yeah. It's like you
Yeah.
can tell like Dark Knight Chicago and then Dark Knight Rises is New York.
Yeah,
clearly.
It's like it's a metropolis, but well, ironically, I guess it's a metropolis more than it is Gotham. It's a metropolitan city, but it's not claustrophobic and dark the way that this Gotham is. And it's funny because it doesn't take away from those Nolan movies. I love those movies. I will always love those movies. They will be benchmark films. But I realize now watching this movie, a lot of stuff takes place in broad daylight,
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
wide open spaces.
Yeah.
You know? And what that's like kind of antithetical to what I expect from Batman.
From Batman, yeah.
Like Nolan makes it work. But wow, what a difference it is. I messaged with a friend who told me this is the most comic accurate film they've ever seen.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's true. Because like Burton feels like a comic. Nolan feels like a comic adapted to
real
a movie.
Yeah.
And then this is like this is really
I'm in the pages, like
Yeah.
like literally, like I could just picture that narration that he has as like a bubble, like
yeah, I see the caption box,
Yeah.
Yeah,
right?
man.
Over the head of the character in my mind. And I'm, like you said, Link, you said Miller, right? In that opening narration. And I'm going the whole 3 hours like Miller, Snyder, even Azzarello.
Loeb.
Loeb is all over, the narrative. Like I'm seeing the touches of like all the different writers of Batman
Mhm.
just coming to life in this like melting pot of beautiful dark nightness.
Now, my first thought seeing Gotham was the games. It like to me, like the last game.
Oh, yeah.
Arkham Asylum. I
Mhm.
think is the last one. It felt exactly like it.
Right.
Like the games have such a dark and gritty city, and it's so dense. And I saw that immediately in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when you mentioned something about the games, one of the things that caught my, and I haven't played the games much. I've seen people play,
Yeah.
but I've never, I
Yeah,
haven't.
yeah, we know.
I played like 3 hours of the first one. But one thing that caught my attention was how Pattinson actually moves like the Batman in the game.
Mhm.
Yes, man.
Like his movements to the side and stuff like that. I'm like, man, I kind of feel like I'm playing the game too, because sometimes you get this POV of like first person, especially when he's like, and it's like, wow, kind of not first person, but like you see him. You just see him, and then like, man, it literally feels like the video game right here.
Well,
Yeah.
it feels like it feels almost like
Or second person. There you go. That's
Yeah.
yeah.
yeah, or like third person, which
person,
sounds
yeah.
stupid because it's like everything's
Yeah,
stupid, or
yeah.
like it's a movie, but it's like almost like you're over the shoulder. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like in the Arkham games, like you are Batman, but you see Batman. You know what I mean? You're behind him, and like that's what I'm in his perspective,
Nah,
even though
and
he's
there
in the
was-
front of the
but
frame.
yeah.
And there was that shot when he's gonna take on those goons in the train station.
Oh, when he calls him to the
When
shadow.
when he beats the pulp out of that first guy, and he goes, "I'm venged." He says that line, which is epic already. And then the shot of him, like it's raining, the rain's pattering on him, and he just like slowly gets up with the goons behind him,
Mm-hmm.
and that shot of him like with the cow and everything just going up, I thought that was beautiful. Like
This was beautiful, man.
it's like you see like he's about to lay down the law. Like
I think about him laying down the law. I love the fact that you can hear his footsteps coming in, and it's kind of an indicator.
It's haunting, yeah.
It's haunting. It's an indicator. Yo, once you hear those footsteps that have like some metal to it, right? It has some weight to it. Yeah,
real weight
and like,
to it. It's
oh,
amazing.
you know, stuff's about to go down right
throughout
now.
the film.
Throughout
Yeah.
the film
Yeah.
too, like it's warning you. Hey, I'm coming.
Okay.
Stuff's about to go crazy.
Before we even get into like the plot, because we haven't even started the movie yet at this point,
Yeah,
right?
this is the first 5 minutes.
Yeah, this is a framing montage and narration. Plot hasn't even begun yet, but throughout this movie, especially the second time around, I was watching it with my wife, and I turned to her and I'm like, it's not just that it's a great Batman movie. The cinematography, the
score.
sound design,
The sound design
the
is
score,
killer, man.
you know, the makeup and hair,
the action.
yeah, the
Choreography,
wardrobe and
yeah.
costume,
The
yeah, fight choreography,
Everything
It's
works.
art, man.
Everything
It's
works in
art.
perfect unison. Like
and you can tell attention to detail.
Yeah.
it's a labor of love, man. Like they put so much, especially starting from the director to everyone in. I think they all shared the vision,
Mhm.
and they executed that to perfection, man. Because everything worked. Like for me, everything worked at least.
Yeah, I agree. For me, like, there's not a hole. Like, we can nitpick about something not being perfect because nothing really in this world is perfect, and we'll probably get to that at some point. But there's not a flaw in the structure. Like, there's always like, oh, I don't know how I feel about Katie Holmes, maybe, you know, or oh, I don't know how,
Man.
like, you know, whatever it is to you, oh, this weird editing choice, or maybe the Penguin could have been a little more comic accurate, or, you know, Catwoman.
Man,
You know,
all the characters drew me
oh
in.
well, I'm talking about like Batman Returns.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm like, oh, those are awesome versions, but they're not the characters. You know?
Yeah.
So you can always nitpick and gripe, and that there's always like a flaw. No, they made the movie that they wanted to movie in the same way. Everyone's on the same page. Everyone fits as
Yeah,
a piece
man.
of this puzzle.
That was a shared vision for sure.
Yeah.
That was beautiful.
and that's just brilliant filmmaking.
Art.
You could have been alive at any time.
But you chose to be born in 2022.
Or earlier.
No, I think you specifically
It's
told us we
2022.
chose to be born right now. There's been a lot of talk. There was a lot of talk, and we're gonna be talking about the Oscars later this month. There was a lot of talk about like No Way Home being Best Picture, and I was like, no, come on, guys. Like,
You
I love
can't-
the
yeah,
movie,
yeah.
but like, it's not the best. I would fight you, like, if you said this didn't deserve to at least be considered.
This could be considered.
As a traditional film, this is better.
yeah, just as filmmaking.
Yeah, this is like
It's like, put it
incredible.
to the side. Like, if Mad Max Fury Road could be nominated for Best Picture,
Soaking this.
soaking this
like,
for sure.
If Inception, you know,
If Green Book could win Best Picture, soaking this.
if Shape of Water can win
Win.
Best Picture,
Soaking this.
yeah. And I think if it's not nominated for Best Picture, like, categories across the board,
Oh yeah.
Sound design, man.
Cinematography, sound
Cinematography.
design,
adapted
score,
screenplay.
Score.
Yep.
Yeah, score for sure. Congrats, with Michael Giancio. Giancio?
Yeah.
It's Michael Gagaboo.
No, that's not it. So, what's next? Yeah, we've seen this several times.
The bat signal, man. After he lays down the law,
It plays such an important role.
after
Ah,
he lays
it's
down the law,
amazing.
he's helping someone that's getting attacked.
Yeah.
And this person, after Batman clearly like wards off the people that are his aggressors, he's still afraid of this guy. He's still afraid of Batman. He looks up and he's like, "Please don't hurt me." And Batman just like
He just helped.
he
you.
just looks at him and he's kind of just like, "I just help." Like he didn't say it, but like
It's reminiscent of when
Yeah.
Ben Affleck was Daredevil and he goes, "I'm not the bad guy, kid." Right?
the blonde lawyer from Hell's Kitchen.
and you can tell like he's just like he feels some type of way about the fear that he's trying to instill this fear into the criminals, but it sucks because it's translating to the people he's trying to protect.
You know what? All jokes aside, though, it is reminiscent of that moment, and that's the difference between this movie, where instead of him verbalizing it like Daredevil does in the Affleck movie, it's just a look. It's just the atmosphere of the scene tells you that I'm not the bad guy, but this kid is afraid. It tells you that it shows you instead of telling you.
And that's how it
'Cause
starts.
he doesn't even help him up, right?
Yeah.
He leaves them down.
Because he doesn't want to get near
Yeah, he
him to
doesn't
scare him
wanna
more.
get-
Yeah.
Mm.
And he's consumed also by this image like on
of
the
fear,
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm fear now.
of being vengeance.
Yeah. He there's no crack in the armor, so
Yeah.
to speak.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the armor.
Oof.
How this suit.
You were saying how he kind of moves like the Arkham games,
Mhm.
Batman, and I think that has to do with the suit. Like it's
Yeah.
armor, it's literal armor, and I think that plays into. Pattinson's not the biggest guy. He's not Ben Affleck. He's not like shredded.
Mhm.
He's not.
But
even,
I
he's not
think-
even Christian Bale.
But I think
No,
that
not at all.
suit. I think that suit adds to his frame, but also the way his physicality is, the way that he moves,
It's-
his performance in the movement. Because I mean, we've seen it in stuff like the Mandalorian. He has a mask for most of from what we've seen,
Mhm.
but it's like it has to translate to the physicality of the role, like the way that you move and how everything works. So I think, in a way, that that's also a part of Pattinson's performance, which I think was a great step.
I was even kind of surprised by his build in the movie.
yeah,
I was expecting him to get a lot bigger for the
Mhm.
role, but
Yeah.
I liked it.
Yeah.
It was very natural. It was very like MMA fighter,
Yeah.
kind of like he had the bulk, he had a little bit of the weight. It seemed natural.
I can
Like,
believe this guy can
yeah,
move
I
really
can believe it.
fast.
Yeah. It was like utility build.
Yeah,
Versus
that was a
like,
functional
bulk.
build.
Yeah.
but even then, when he's Bruce Wayne, he doesn't look. He's big, right? But he doesn't. He looks a bit skinny. But when he has the suit on, it looks like he
Yeah.
has an armor. He looks a lot bigger when he has a suit on than when he's.
I think it's perfect.
So it's like, man, it goes to show you, like like you said, it is armor, right?
Mhm.
Because in the Dark Knight, we have Batman does have like those areas
Yeah.
where you're able to stab him because there's no armor there.
Mhm.
Here, this guy's getting shot at all the time.
Yeah, with
Yeah.
a machine
with the
gun.
machine guns, normal guns, shotguns, and it doesn't kill him because
Yeah.
he's literally armored everywhere.
And that's a big thing because I feel like if he did get too big, he would look bulky.
He would look bulky.
He
yeah.
would look way too
Yeah.
bulky. It'd be
I
like
was
Ben
like-
Affleck.
Yeah,
where he looked way too
just gonna
chunky.
say it. I don't mean to,
No, you do. Don't lie.
okay. But it's like Affleck's Batman looks like he can't take a sticker off of his back.
Yeah, he's
'cause
too
his arm
bulky.
can't
It looks like he
wrap
can't.
around,
Yeah, he
like-
can't. He
He
can't.
looks great. I mean, don't get me wrong, impressive.
Yeah.
Especially at that take. Not, you know what? I'll give him props because he's playing like the Dark Knight Returns age Batman, so he's supposed to be like
Bigger,
this
yeah,
monster
yeah.
because he's not gonna move as fast as he is, so he's got to be brute strength. So I guess it does make sense for that adaptation. But this is year
2.
3,
Two,
the
three.
the end of 2. We're already past 2.
Mm.
And this is the beginning of his 3rd year. It's been 2 years, and it kind of reminds me of the Batman Year 1 film, like animated film adaptation. That's kind of like almost Japanese animation style, where he's like a thin frame and he has the same
Yeah.
narration. I think it's super reminiscent of what Batman looks like in that animated Year 1 adaptation, which this is clearly like around that same time. Year 1, Long Halloween, Dark Victory.
And it's cool because you mentioned that, and Zoe Kravitz as Catwoman is that Catwoman from Year 1.
Yeah. Absolutely.
That's her. Like, and we have Anne Hathaway playing Catwoman.
Mm-hmm.
But I could personally never put her, like, I can't compare her to a Catwoman in the comics.
Yeah.
With Zoe Kravitz, I'm like, oh yeah, definitely. That's Year 1 Catwoman.
Yeah, I think because with Dark Knight Rises, and I love that movie. I think we all agree, right? It's not as great as The Dark Knight, but it's good.
No, the other two are better films.
Yeah.
I mean that just has like a special place in my heart.
I think that the realistic, grounded world of the Dark Knight trilogy, I think including Catwoman and Bane and No Man's Land, is just like a step too far.
Yeah.
Like it's outside of like, it ungrounds it a
Yeah,
little bit,
it's-
you
yeah.
know? So they did good in like adapting that to ground it, but I'm not really sure the
Yeah.
Catwoman. If anything, this is more.
This is more of Catwoman. Yeah, I think she might be the best Catwoman besides Halle Berry.
What, you said that with a straight face, so now I'm worried.
Deadpan
Oh.
or
Yeah, she's right up there. Well, I mean, again, I'm a Tim Burton guy, so
Yeah, I was
Michelle
waiting for
Pfeiffer
that.
is iconic as Catwoman and defining. And I think that the animated series version of it is very reminiscent of that. so that'll always be a take on Catwoman.
Mm.
But I think this is much closer to the comic books. You know, she doesn't have 9 lives.
It's also more modern, and I think it's modern. I like it.
Yeah, and it's not supernatural
Yeah.
because ultimately, like, there's something supernatural about
those,
Catwoman
yeah.
in Returns, and this is a lot more realistic. Plus, the short hair.
Yeah.
I don't know how often she has short hair in the comics, but I know for me,
In year 1, she does.
in year 1 she has short hair.
Yeah.
Okay, and I know she has it again in Hush, like around
Yeah.
that era when Jim Lee's drawing her. She goes back to a short haircut,
Mm.
and
Her hair's
that
short in
suit.
the games, right?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
believe so. It
yeah.
is.
Yeah,
Usually, I think. it
Yeah, in
is.
Fortnite, her hair is short. Yeah. Oh, is that not the game we're referencing? Because that's my Batman game. Is that not what we've been talking about this whole time? His armor in the...
Oh, yeah.
Nah, Mortal Kombat.
He plays just like Fortnite. And is he in Mortal Kombat? No.
Joker
Oh,
is-
Injustice.
Injustice.
Injustice
Well,
is
there was
basically just Mortal Kombat.
the Mortal Kombat versus DC game,
I did have that game. That game
which
was-
had Batman on the cover. So
It crashed whenever I picked Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
Okay.
that's
So
weird.
it was scratched. The disc was scratched. The suit. Should we just go with the narrative? Go ahead.
I mean, are we gonna?
Yeah, we're not gonna do
Go
a
through the
play-by-play
whole
for
movie.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah, how do we
Who are we?
dissect
Kevin
it?
Smith.
I mean, the next big thing we get
We
introduced,
love Kevin Smith on this show, just for the record.
we get introduced to Gordon, if I'm not mistaken.
I love him.
What do you
as
guys think?
Gordon.
Yeah, was it Jeffrey
I loved
Wright?
it.
him.
I loved it.
I
Amazing.
think
I didn't think you could get better.
I think Gary Oldman. No,
Yeah, I didn't think you can get better than Gary Oldman, and you somehow did.
I love Jeffrey
Man.
Wright. I
Okay.
love Jeffrey Wright in this role.
Okay, we're gonna keep saying this. Pattinson is the best Batman. He's the best Gordon.
She's the best Selena Kyle.
She's the best thing. I think what it is that the vision of this film is so unified that like everything is the best everything.
Yeah.
You know? So it's like it's crazy because Gary Oldman's great and an amazing actor and he's a great Gordon. But this Gordon fits in this movie so well that it's like
Yeah.
Just
everything
the
is
way
the
he
best.
interacts with Batman,
Yeah.
the way he interacts with other police, the way it's just amazing.
Yeah.
I think that I loved the way that they used the bat signal. I loved how it's a mode of communication for the like goes both ways. It's not just Gordon calling out to Batman.
Like
Yeah.
it
Batman-
always is. Yeah, like that.
that
Batman-
moment towards the end where it's like I thought it was you, I thought it was you.
Batman can use it as well to contact Gordon. I thought that was great.
Which at some point makes me wonder, someone's gonna abuse this.
And they do.
Yeah.
Well, I
do
mean,
it.
well, I mean, only Catwoman has access to that rooftop. Like, you know, not everybody can get that high up. With that being said, having the bat signal established already, and Batman like has a reputation already, skipping past the origin but still being deeply entrenched in that
Beginning.
stage of the development. What a perfect
Yeah.
choice.
So smart, man.
Yeah.
We don't need to see them die again,
Mm-hmm.
but
And we never do.
yeah,
we
we
never
never
do.
we never do. But
And
it
that-
adds
that-
so much.
That happened in like Batman versus Superman or Snyder Cut. Which one? Batman versus Superman.
Yeah.
We're like, again, we're seeing another flashback, No, it's there. It's in the articles. We know
Yeah.
the story. You're referencing it, but you're not telling it to us again. We don't need to see him become Batman. We already had that origin story.
And even then, that plays into the plot.
Yeah.
With the Riddler and
Mhm.
everything that goes on.
It's
So-
so well thought out, man, from beginning to end.
Yeah, because it's hard to punch holes in the movie. It's hard. Like, we can nitpick, but it's going to be such nitpicking. Like, it's going to be really looking for flaws that, like, from a filmmaking perspective, they're almost irrelevant. Like, it's,
Because I think it comes down to opinion at that point. There's,
yeah,
like,
exactly. Personal taste,
Yeah.
personal choice.
One of the things I love about it, and I guess it's because we recently watched The Godfather, so I've always loved Mafia.
Mhm.
And one of my favorite parts of Batman is the Mafia villains they have, right? Who we really don't get to see much of
Mhm.
in other Batman movies, right? Like the villains tend to be his Bane rogue gallery, right?
Right.
Joker, Riddler. Well, he isn't this one, but you get me. Mr. Freeze. But here, the Mafia, Carmine, Falcone, he is like there throughout the whole movie.
Yeah, yeah.
And he pretty much is like you can't. He's part of the plot. He's a big part of the plot, and I
Yeah.
love that we get to see a grounded Batman, but at the same time it explodes into something bigger.
Yeah.
But I just love the fact that we had the Mafia there.
Yeah, and then the Nolan movies did this too. Like Falcone, main villain
Mm-hmm.
in Batman Begins. Maroney, main villain in The Dark Knight. We lose that element in The Dark Knight Rises, which is
Yeah.
another aspect
I
of
didn't
how
realize
it's like
that.
dissident. Like there is always that crime world, like, and we have those moments when he's interfacing. For example, in this movie, he walks into the club and beats up everybody, and I'm like, The Dark Knight? Like,
Yeah, very
Yeah.
reminiscent of that.
I was like, I've seen it, but also, like, you're telling a Batman story.
Yeah.
He's got to go,
Yeah.
you know? The Iceberg Lounge. That was funny because at first I was like, the Iceberg Lounge is like a rave now? I don't know how I feel about that. But then you have the club under the club, and it's like, oh, it's a traditional, like, Iceberg Lounge. It's like a jazz club,
Yeah.
you know? I like that, too.
I really like John Turturro.
John Turturro.
I didn't know he was in the
Turturro?
film.
You didn't recognize him?
No, I didn't know he was in it
Before
into
going
the
into
movie.
it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, me neither.
Yeah. That was a surprise to me. I didn't even know Falcone was in the
I
film.
love.
Yeah, I didn't
know that.
I didn't think you do, but they use him well.
Yeah.
I just love how like everything kind of plays it. Like Gotham is kind of like the victim, but also the villain. The parts of like the criminal underground, just like because you have Falcone, you have the mob, you have Penguin, and all this stuff doing like their crimes and their criminal activity, but then you also have this serial killer murdering people viciously and then leaving clues
Yeah.
for Batman.
Such a detective thing.
And it's like that's one of the huge things is like we get to see Batman enter the crime scene, and before he gets into it, you see like the shot it's from the perspective of Batman,
Mm-hmm.
and you see everyone just like staring at him. Everyone's eyes grow big, and everyone's just like, what's happening? And you can tell like this guy's not wanted. This guy's still an outcast. He's a freak, and everyone's like, what's wrong with this? Like he's a vigilante. What's he doing here? Like, we're the cops. Why is he coming into this crime scene?
Which is how exactly the Asian guy felt after he saved him. Like,
Yeah.
whoa, we don't like this guy. Why? I'm scared of him.
Yeah.
He just saved me, but I'm scared of him. That's how the cops are too. Like, he's a vigilante, but we don't like him.
Mm-hmm.
That scene blew my mind because right away it establishes like he's out in the open, he's real, the cops are aware of him.
Yeah, he's not like a mystery.
He's not a
Yeah.
legend.
Yeah,
And
he's
I
not a
was like,
legend.
oh, okay, so we're like already like unmasking that in a sense. Like we're tearing that away. Like forget any preconceived notions of like, oh, is he real? Is he not? He's real.
No, yeah, I think that for me, like, even though in that train station scene where like the goons, like they hear the haunting footsteps, they're like, oh my gosh, what's happening? And then he comes out and they're like, they all start laughing. They're all just like, oh, it's just a guy in a suit, bro. Like, who are you supposed to be?
It is Halloween.
And then yeah, exactly. Like they're not sure, but then it's like,
And they're
nah,
dressed like freaks too.
You know, now you know who I am.
Mm-hmm.
After he takes them all on, and I just love that perspective, like the fact that he's helping the police, but they don't really want it, except like Gordon. Gordon's the one that pulls for him, and I think that plays into the dynamic in the relationship of Batman and Gordon, which is like a buddy cop detective noir. Like,
oh yeah, and we get those moments.
I loved that
the
aspect
conversation
of the
in the holding cell.
And I love that Gordon says like, "Oh, the only person I trust is you." Like
Very year one.
Yeah.
which is amazing.
And like the faith that
Yeah.
Gordon
Yeah.
has, almost blind faith,
Yeah,
because they address it at some point in the movie where he's like, I don't even know who you are, you know? But he just believes in the symbol of what Batman is, and he hasn't let him down yet, you know?
And I mean, I think that's what Batman gravitates towards Jim, is because Batman's trying to be this symbol, like obviously to instill fear in people and to dissuade them from doing that stuff. But I think like Jim is the only one that sees him for what he kind of wants to be seen as. Like, I'm just trying to help.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just trying to do it, like just trying to make the city better.
And he believes in that vision so well of transparency, because there's that scene where he thinks, oh, dang, the gig is up. They know who I am. So he tells Gordon, hey, you're a good cop. You know what to do. Thinking, oh, everyone knows, this guy knows who I am. He's going to tell everyone who my secret identity is. But Jim, hey, I know you're not a corrupt. Once you find the truth, you know what to do. That's how much faith he has in him.
Yeah, it's almost like carry the torch.
And I also
Yeah.
think that's deeper though than just that, because I think it adds that, but it also kind of speaks to who this Bruce Wayne is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's one that doesn't say a lot of words. He's a man of few words.
Mm-hmm.
And it's also like he just can't either bring himself to say it, or like he just doesn't know how to. So that, I feel like for me, him saying that part where he says you're a good cop is like, this is probably gonna be over soon.
Yeah, this is like goodbye and thanks.
This is good. Yeah, thank you for everything. And it's like that. Those two, like those words, were just they had a deeper meaning behind it for me.
I almost feel like it was the callback response to "I never thanked you,"
and you'll never have to.
It was a verse. It was like, "Here's thank you, but I can't say it."
It's just like even talking about it, I'm just like,
Yeah,
man,
man.
this movie's so good.
It was so good.
Round 4.
But also calls back, no, for sure. But also, I feel like also like pays tribute, I think, to the older movie, to the ones that come before it.
And I don't think it even like directly pays tribute to this. I think it just understands Batman
Yeah,
in the same way that
Like
those
those
movies
films did.
do. That there has to be an overlap.
Yeah.
When you adapt this character perfectly, you're going to run through those high points of the character. You can't be worried about like, is this going to be too reminiscent? Is this an homage? No, it just is Batman. Like, it is Batman in the way that Batman has been Batman on film before, but in a completely different context.
and I think that this film really truly elevates the character.
I just love the fact that you get to see him do his detective work.
Yeah, man.
That's always one of my favorite things about it. That's my favorite thing about Batman in his comic. Like, he obviously, we know, besides Gabriel, he is the world's greatest detective. If you don't know, Gabriel is the world's greatest detective. I'll tell you.
We won't elaborate on that.
We won't elaborate, but my boy Gabriel.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I understood. We all know that he's the world's greatest detective, except Gabriel.
Except Gabriel.
He doesn't know. I was
yeah.
like, why? He doesn't read enough comics?
No, I just don't. I don't acknowledge that.
Oh.
It's me.
No,
Oh, so you're Christopher Nolan? then?
Gabriel is a detective. No, Batman and Sherlock have nothing on him. But I love the fact that in Batman, like he's a detective, right? And you in the comic books, you're able to, with all these story arcs, especially like graphic novels, like stories like The Long Halloween, you're able to stretch out the whole detective work, right?
Mhm.
And in this movie, you see that, which is something
Yeah,
you don't.
because you need like 3 hours to
We
do
need,
it.
yeah, exactly. Which is something that you don't see in Nolan films, but you
Yeah.
kind of expect it because it. The fact that he does detective work makes it more grounded, makes it more real, which is something that you don't see. I'm like,
Yeah.
wait, why?
And that's funny because I don't know if it was studios afraid of telling that story or that audiences
Right?
wouldn't gravitate to that, because that was your brother always brings that up. Like, I love those movies, but why isn't he ever a detective?
Yeah,
Yeah, he never
Like,
feels like a detective.
There's just that one moment in The Dark Knight that I always use as like defense for that argument, is when he's like, looking for the bullet fragments and the bricks, and he's using the computer and everything.
Mhm.
But that's it. It's like
That's
a
it,
montage
yeah.
where like, by the way, Batman is a detective, moving on,
Mm.
But here is a narrative where it's basically 7,
Yeah, base. Yeah, and it honestly, it kind of felt like I was watching Sherlock.
Yeah. Well, for me, it was like David Fincher's Batman, which
Yeah.
is, a disservice to Matt Reeves, but I don't know why that tone felt
It's like
to me.
it felt like watching Zodiac.
Yeah, exactly.
And I loved it because like the riddles were so clever, they were so smart, they were so thought out that it really carries the film all the way through.
They were actually kind of funny. Like they shouldn't be funny, but like
yeah,
the
yeah.
thumb drive,
They were
the
really
thumb
well
drive thing
done,
was
man.
hilarious.
Did you guys
to me.
feel like idiots after Batman would reveal what the riddle was? I'm like, oh,
Kinda,
it
yeah, I
was so
did.
simple.
There
Why
was a
didn't I-
couple.
why
There
didn't
was a
I
couple. Well, I was sitting next to George,
Mm-hmm.
and he was guessing, and I'm like, oh yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, I've read a lot of Batman comics. Not that they're the same riddles, but I kind of think I know how the Riddler thinks sometimes.
The Riddler.
I got the he lies still one pretty quickly, and then because the thing is that you have to get them pretty quickly because Batman will
Yeah,
solve
it'll
them.
solve them.
So it's like you have to get them immediately before Batman tells you the solution.
That's like throughout all of it.
Yeah.
Like he gets there so much faster than everybody else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he doesn't like that part in the apartment when
Yeah.
they're investigating the mayor's death,
Mhm.
and there's like the blood stain away from the couch,
The photographer sees it.
and then like he walks over and he's just like I can just like hear him. He's just like interesting. He doesn't say it. He just looks at
Mhm.
it, and then just kind of waits for the photographer to kind of like go over there, and she's like, oh, we missed this.
Yeah, he puts in the like Batman vision, like in the Arkham game.
Yeah, I was about
He
to
takes
say.
the mouse.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I was
hovers
about
over
to
it.
say, like, is it him being a good detective, or is the fact that he has technology like that lens in his eye that contact lens that can help him maybe see a little bit?
Yeah, but I
See
mean,
the
so
clues
do
more?
like police officers. Like they have forensic equipment. They have like infrared
okay.
goggles, ultraviolet.
Oh.
You still have to know where to look. You
Mm.
know, the game guides me, so I know where to look when I'm Batman. But my wife got the justice one. Like what can be poetic.
Yeah, the Justice one.
Oh,
I
but
got,
yeah, that one. Yeah,
And then
that's the only one I got, and I felt
the URL one I think is almost too hard to
that was-
even to solve ever.
The
like-
way that riddle like splits off into different paths
right.
The
is
Penguin
so
was
clever,
giving me
man.
a Spanish lesson.
yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Are we good? The Penguin?
Colin Farrell,
Colin
yeah.
Farrell.
yeah.
He stole the movie
Me
from
and
me.
Link just went to talk and locked eyes,
Yeah.
and we're like, "Are we gonna talk about what we're gonna talk
He
about?"
stole the movie from me. First of all, I didn't know that was Colin. Like I knew that was Colin Farrell,
Mhm.
but you
But
can't,
you can't tell,
it's
man.
Colin
You
Colin
forget,
Farrell.
man.
Yeah.
You forget it's
Yeah.
him.
I went with someone who like had no idea about the cast, and I was going the second time. I had already seen it, so I told them, "Colin Farrell is the Penguin. I'm not gonna tell you who's the Riddler. Go with that." Because I feel like if you know it's Colin Farrell, you're like, "What the? How is this Colin
Yeah,
Farrell?"
how is this
Right?
even possible?
Yeah, and then the Paul Dano one is like, it's not a spoiler, like, oh, because he's a big deal or who he is, but it's like, I don't want you to even think of who
Yeah.
the actor is.
Yeah.
I want you to just live the performance.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
But
both villains.
But even then, like the prosthetics for Penguin for
Mhm.
Oz
So
were
good.
incredible.
I don't understand how they
They
did
were
that, man.
wild.
yeah.
But I think even more than the prosthetics was his acting.
Yeah.
The accent, the mannerisms, the way that he carried himself. I was like,
Like-
whoa, like who is
yeah.
this? Like Tony Soprano and Batman? Like
Trying to
There's some scenes that are just hang on a facial expression.
Yeah.
And he says so much without saying anything. That last shot of him, not to fast forward, but when he's looking off and the
Yeah.
narration's talking about like, you know,
Yup.
that
The power
power
of it,
vacuum, it's almost like ambition and also despair, because he's like almost disgusted that's what happened, but he sees the opportunity in it, all in one look. He doesn't say anything. It's just one staring
Yeah.
off into the distance.
it's like disgusted excitement.
Yeah,
He is so good, man. Like
he's really good. His waddle is really good too.
this is like this is the second time he plays a superhero villain, and
That's true.
he is the best part of Daredevil.
Guys, there's a lot of
I forgot
Daredevil
about
parallels
He
here.
is the best part
Because
of Daredevil.
Batman is there. He's so many characters. He's defined
Okay.
so many characters in this one film.
Yeah, and I've been kind of reticent to start this conversation, but in 1989, when I saw Batman, that was the year that I decided Batman is the greatest hero ever. He's BA. And that's kind of faded over time because we have so many interpretations and other people come into like our mind. This guy's awesome. This guy's awesome. He's the Mandalorian. He's Mad Max. He's Daredevil. All in one movie. He's automatically cooler than all of them combined again.
Yeah.
And this is Batman.
Yeah.
This is who Batman
That was
is.
that
And
was
I
well
think
put.
there.
Yeah.
I mean, we were having like the conversation we're having in the car ride right after we saw it the first time. Link said it, and I think he captured it in a great way. He's just like,
Thank you.
man, Batman is cool again.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Yeah.
he's like, but also that the way he said it was just like relief and like,
Yeah.
I haven't been here in such a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Because I mean, for us, I think like the Dark Knight trilogy is something that we hold very like sacred and very high.
That's been 10 years.
And then it's been like with the newer iterations, it hasn't really been something that we're that like really happy about
Yeah.
or the way that
Mhm.
it's portrayed. But like the relief and the satisfaction and kind of like this payoff that Link had in his voice was like, it was all of us.
Yeah.
Because he said it, I'm like, that's so true.
Yeah.
Like Batman is finally cool again. Batman's always been cool, but it's like,
Yeah, Batman will never stop being coolest.
We
but
had
he's the coolest.
we had a conversation we had a conversation
yeah.
today
Mhm.
with a pretty young kid. He's like,
A
what,
12-year-old.
12? And we asked him, like, he's just like a huge Marvel fan. He loves the Marvel movies. And we asked him, like, what do you think about DC? Because we were asking him, are you going to watch Batman? He's like, nah, I'm not really into that. I'm like, why? He's like, I don't really like DC. And we're like,
And we almost threw this 12-year-old kid out of my house.
I'm like,
I was
And we're
like,
like-
I don't like you.
and we're like,
Father, leave.
and we're like, what? But then he brings up the point
He
that
was very eloquent.
Yeah,
No,
he
yeah,
was-
for
he
his
was a
12-year-old
yeah,
kid, I
I was
like,
really impressed with
what?
my
He was
boy
a smart
London.
kid, man.
And he's just like, those movies aren't good to me. And we're asking, like, oh, like,
I don't blame him.
What are you mentioning? And it's the Batman vs Superman, the Justice League. And
That's what
he's
he
just
grew
like,
up with, yeah.
yeah, like that's what he's grown. And it's crazy to me
It's
to
a
think
shame.
about it.
That's his
Tho-
Batman.
those are
Yeah.
those are the things that he's grown up with.
Yeah.
And
It's a shame.
and exactly, but like hearing Link say, "Batman's cool again," like a new, like this is a Batman for a new generation that they can relate to. That they can be like, this guy's amazing.
Yeah,
and
man.
I mean, there's a lot of people that are younger that love Batfleck. They love Ben Affleck's Batman. And I mean, if you love him, good for you. Like, I'm happy for you.
Nah.
But that's the thing. There's so many. I feel like there's so much
There
more
is.
kind of controversy and kind of like confliction with people about Batfleck. Like, I feel like a lot of people love Batman, but when it comes to like when they think Batfleck, it's either, oh, I love him, he's the best iteration of Batman, or people are just, I hate him.
Yeah,
Like, I do
he's
not like him.
controversial.
Exactly.
I can't blame those kids because my Batman for a long time was Bat Nipples.
Yeah.
You get me? Like,
Yeah.
oh, that's all I have.
Yeah.
It's either him or Val Kilmer. I'm gonna choose Bat Nipples until
And it's like Christian Bale.
Christian Bale comes in, and this is their until moment.
Mhm.
Until Pattinson comes in.
Here's the thing, too, though, that he is a Batman for all seasons, meaning it doesn't matter if
That's
it's
not Superman.
no, it's it doesn't matter who your Batman is. You've got to like this Batman. I'm sorry. I hate to draw a line in the sand, but if you come up to me and you tell me that you don't like this Batman movie, maybe it's not your favorite in the world because nothing is for everyone, right? But if you can't see the good in this movie, I'm sorry, you don't like Batman.
No, I agree, actually.
You know who didn't like this movie?
Who?
He even tweeted it. Ben Shapiro.
Nah, man.
Oh,
I
yeah.
blocked him.
Yeah.
I saw that tweet and I blocked it. I was like,
oh, okay.
I'm like, oof.
I don't know what that says about anything, but
I just thought that was funny. If it goes to show you the type of person that doesn't like
okay.
Batman.
All right. So, anyways, I have a friend who is very, and we've talked about it. He's my Batman bro.
Yeah.
Sock, you know who you are. But
Hello,
we talk
Socrates.
we talk about Star Wars. We talk about Batman. He informs a lot. He's a more knowledgeable guy than me. He does not like the Dark Knight movies. And
Gasp, Socrates.
and one of the big moments that I'll always remember is the shot that he hates is Batman standing in the rubble, sad. He's like, that is the stupidest Batman moment I have ever seen in my entire life. And I didn't get it at the time. Like, I kind of did. But in this movie, he's moving the rocks off of the people and pulling them out of the rubble. And it clicked. I was like, you're right. He shouldn't be standing around. He should be doing the work. And this Batman does the work.
Which is a complete 180 of the Batman we get at the beginning. Remember, when he beats
That's
up the
the
goon
journey,
and,
right,
he's
yeah.
helping out, like he helped out that guy, like the guy is scared of him.
Yeah,
but at
and
the
he
end,
doesn't pick him up.
he doesn't
He
pick him
doesn't.
up. At
He's
the end,
apathetic towards
he
it.
is
He doesn't.
actually like, I guess, character growth.
Nah.
He learned feelings about feelings.
and I mean, I think
and he's able to carry that person. It's like, hey, and now not only people aren't scared of him anymore. Now they see him as a symbol of hope.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we talk about inversion of theme and like how the Dark Knight teaches us that sometimes people deserve to have their faith rewarded and be lied to. And then the Dark Knight Rises, its theme is when you lie, the truth will be uncovered and things will be worse. So it's almost like the lesson I taught you in the second movie. The lesson I teach you in the third one is that the reverse is true. Also, this does this in one movie. It does the same
It's
thing.
incredible.
Yeah.
It sells you on a Batman and then convinces you that Batman is wrong. That Batman is not what Batman is. This is what Batman is.
in a completely different way to me that just like that I don't know why I just didn't expect it because I feel like it hasn't been something that's been prevalent in these Batman films
Mm-hmm.
where Batman becomes more than a violent symbol.
Right.
When Batman becomes more than just this symbol of fear that people look and get afraid of and feel like this guy's a freak, this guy's gonna hurt me, I have to run away.
Mm-hmm.
Because I feel like it's been captured that it's like this person, this thing, this entity is so, it's just negative. It's just bad. And if you're like an innocent civilian, a standard person, it's like, I'm just gonna get out of his way. Like it's not something that it's like this guy's trying to help. I feel like in the Nolan verse, he has his supporters,
Mm-hmm.
but I feel like it's clearly outlined that everyone is kind of like pretty much scared of this guy.
Yeah.
But by the end of the film, and there's so many instances where you can see like he's going through this
Hero's journey.
the hero's journey.
Yeah.
And he's going like he has to make these decisions like I have to like he says it at the end, which I think was beautiful. We were talking about earlier.
Mm-hmm.
That whole ending, that whole monologue he has at the end where he's writing in the journal, that it's beautiful, like the way he says, I've had an effect. Because at the beginning he tells Alfred, he's like, if I want to have an effect, I have to keep going on. I have to keep doing something. And Alfred's like, the way that, like, I didn't even realize it until now. Alfred kind of says it in a way where he's just like, you're getting very popular, huh? And he's just like, what you're doing, I mean, he doesn't tell that like outright, but it's basically like, what you're doing is also going to cause problems, which I think
He's hinting at
exactly,
Yeah.
which I think Alfred
Foreshadow.
in the Dark Knight trilogy does that as well.
it. Mm-hmm.
He's like, what did
he's
you
a
think was
moral
going to
conscious.
happen? You stood up to these criminals. What did you think that was going to happen? They're going to turn to somebody they don't understand.
And that double-mindedness of Alfred, that, like you said, it is reflected in both this series, in both the Dark Knight series and in this film, is like, I am aiding and abetting, but what is the ends to this mean?
Yeah.
Because this campaign for justice is right, but also it's a self-destructive process.
it's
like,
it's not good for him.
it's not sustainable.
It's almost like Robert Pattinson, like I'm sorry, Bruce Wayne wants just to be Batman.
Mm-hmm.
Like he wants
Which
to forget
is
it.
so refreshing.
He wants to forget about the responsibilities of being Bruce Wayne, which is why Alfred's like, we have to keep up appearances.
Mhm.
We have to meet with the accountants to keep the estate going. And Bruce is just like, I don't want to do any of that. I have to be Batman to save this city. And then Alfred just realizes, like, I understand what you're doing. Like what's in your heart. You have like the right, what's it called? You have the right intentions,
yeah.
but it's not healthy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think there isn't a balance there.
And I don't know that Bruce will ever find balance.
He never will.
Yeah.
He doesn't.
Right. But he's on the right track in the sense that he's living the life. He's finally, by the end of this movie, I feel like he's going to be Bruce Wayne, still with the singular purpose of justice. He's going to do the Wayne Foundation. He's going to keep up appearances, so to speak, because he understands that it's a bigger part of the campaign.
Of being Batman.
Yeah, you cannot rebuild Gotham on violence alone. You have to be restorative. You have to restore hope. And it was like in The Dark Knight was the same thing. Like Harvey Dent was that symbol, a misplaced symbol. And hopefully this mayor will be better. But trying to work within the system while you work outside of the system. You can be the lone maverick, but at the end of the day, most of the city exists during the day, not at night. And Batman's reach is limited. Bruce Wayne could reach those parts of Gotham that Batman cannot touch.
And I mean, she said, I think the mayor says that when she sees him in one of the scenes in the funeral scene, she's like, your parents were big philanthropists. They did a lot for this city, but as far as I can tell, you're not doing anything.
Yeah. Is it weird that the mayor annoyed me though? Because she was like, when I'm elected mayor,
I'm gonna make you do
make
something.
you.
I'm gonna
I
put
was
you.
like,
I'm gonna put
"Geez,
you to
all right."
work.
Yeah. Then I'm not voting for you. Then I don't want to work.
I think following a bit more on the narrative side,
Mhm.
the Riddler, and what did you guys think of Paul Dano?
Wait, really quick, I do want to say something
Yeah.
about Batman and his idea of, him being Batman, how he was so callous at the beginning.
Yeah.
It really reminded me of All-Star Batman,
Yeah.
where
Okay.
where all he is like, I don't care, I am the GD Batman, I'm gonna do whatever the heck I want.
Yeah.
But then you see like someone touches his heart,
Yeah.
and he's a little bit softer, and he's like you said, it's like,
Yeah.
all right, I can't just be Batman, I have to also be Bruce Wayne to help out the city.
Which, like, again, goes back to year one, because, like, the All-Star Batman is supposed to be the continuation of the year one Batman
Oh,
to
is it?
an extreme degree. Yeah. Miller considers, like, year one All-Star, Dark Knight Returns, Strikes Again, and whatever the newest one that I may or may not have finished.
Yeah,
reading.
we haven't
Yeah,
read it,
the race, the Superman race thing, whatever. That's all, like, his own Miller verse. Yeah. So even though it's technically the legitimate origin to the regular Batman, it's also in its own pocket, like,
Yeah.
Miller version.
Yeah.
I did think if we were ever gonna get a Batman movie where he says, "I am the goddamn Batman," it was gonna be this movie.
No, because see, that's the kind of meme stuff that's not gonna show up in a movie.
No.
like this.
But I thought because of like how his,
Yeah.
because
The
the
interpretation.
interpretation of it, yeah.
See, but that's almost like a disservice to me.
Oh no, I
because-
didn't want him to do it,
Yeah,
but I
'cause-
thought if they were gonna do it,
No, but
maybe
even
this-
like All-Star Batman is a
That's
joke.
joke.
No, nobody respects that interpretation of the character.
I don't know, man. I kind of like the yellow.
You like the fact that he feeds rats to Robin?
No, the yellow scene when he's with Green Lantern
Oh, when he meets with Green Lantern and he just paints the entire room yellow, including himself.
and he drinks lemonade.
Seems like a very interesting.
I
Yeah.
have no idea.
So for those of
I
you who've never
actually
read
don't know
All-Star
this shit.
Batman, don't. Anyways, continue.
Riddler.
Oh man, I kind of wanted to address the cable scene, man.
Oh, I think we'll get
that
that towards the end.
Okay.
Yeah,
The
let's
cable scene?
put a pin in that. Yeah, we'll explain what that means to Link. But let's go with Riddler. We're
Not-
an hour into the conversation on like the main villain.
Not as good as Jim Carrey.
That's a hot
That's
take.
that is a hot take.
This Riddler's different in all the right ways.
Okay, you mentioned something about like Batman's villains, like the Joker, Black Mask, the Clock King, the Riddler.
I'd like to see Black Mask in
Yeah.
this universe.
We can go over a list of Penguin.
Isn't
We
he
can
in this universe?
name almost
Nah.
any villains. They're all just guys in suits. So
Yep.
like you guys talked about like the mob, even the scary villains. Scarecrow usually isn't, but even Nolan put Scarecrow in a suit. Ra's al Ghul, like you can just put these guys in suits. All his villains are just mobsters with
Yeah.
a gimmick. The Riddler's a guy in a suit, and Matt Reeves went the opposite direction. The jumpsuit, serial killer, armed militia.
I think, yeah.
It's probably the least authentic thing in the movie.
but
but-
it's more real.
Like
'Cause
the
he-
serial killer aspect.
Because really, you can't take Jim Carrey's suit seriously, right?
Well, but Jim Carrey has the spandex, which is like from the 60s
Yeah, that's like
series.
But he also
he also wears the
wears
suit.
suits, yeah, with the question marks all over.
Okay, yeah, but I always like the animated series one where it's just like a purple tie.
Purple tie, yeah.
Maybe you put a question mark
In
on
the-
that.
on the tie, yeah.
and or you put it on the staff,
Man.
but like it's just a green.
I
suit.
think
Yeah.
even that would not have fit into
would,
this
yeah.
movie.
No, for sure.
The movie's too dark.
Paul Dano's performance, man.
That was beautiful.
It's fantastic from
Incredible.
the beginning. His breathing, the creepiness. I was just like, this is so strange. This is so intimidating.
Do you ever think it goes too over the top?
Nah, man.
A little over
What?
the
Like
line?
Nah.
he yells?
Yeah.
I know
think-
he yells like in specific words.
Yeah, I think there's gonna. It's probably like a condition or something that I probably.
I
have
think
to
he's
look up
sick. I
more.
think he's mentally
Yeah,
ill.
yeah, yeah. But I think there is something like a mental illness that like maybe has to do with something. I mean, I'm not sure, so I'm not going to speak on it. Maybe I'll do my own research into that. But I think there is something behind that maybe Paul Dano was researching for, like maybe to get into that headspace or that role as to why he made that creative choice. But I think there is something behind it. And do you think it was too much? Like the yelling and the
I think it
Following
works in the
through with
movie,
the-
man.
Yeah, I think, yeah.
I think I don't know how I feel about it in the second viewing. A few points, but I think it makes me uncomfortable in perhaps a way I'm supposed to be uncomfortable.
Yeah, I think that's what it's for.
You know, I feel like there's at some point where the movie convinces me I don't like this guy, and that is the goal of the character. Paul Dano is amazing as the Riddler, but by the end of the movie, I don't like the Riddler, and I don't think I'm supposed to. So it's like he makes me uncomfortable, probably on purpose. So if I had to say that, it makes me uncomfortable. I'm uncomfortable
Yeah.
with the Riddler at certain points.
I think that was the goal.
I don't know.
it's like scary.
Yeah,
this guy would be really. It's hard because you're watching a piece of fiction and you're enjoying it to an immense degree. To like try to imagine that in real life. This
I
guy
think-
would be scary.
Yeah, he's
I
terrifying.
think he's like what a school shooter would be if he
Yeah.
grew up,
Yeah.
and that's
Yeah,
scary.
with the chat rooms,
Yeah.
with
Yeah,
all that
it's
stuff.
actually
Him
scary.
going,
Very
the use
scary.
of
It's
social,
scary how real it is.
That's
Yeah,
the
yeah.
thing. Yeah,
the
it's
use
scary
of
how-
social media in this film and how he uses it
and how he
as a
has
tool to-
followers and like,
as a tool to spread
it-
fear.
Isn't it so real though? Like,
yeah, it is.
That's,
And
yeah.
Gabe made a comment to me when we saw the 500 followers, and Gabe's like, I have more than 500 followers. Yeah, but he has 500 followers that are going to be an armed militia and like
Yeah,
take down a whole.
I would do that for you.
Yeah,
Gabe.
but
I would do
I
it for
said that
Danny, too.
before I knew
Oh,
that,
thank
and
you.
then once they all like are like, I saw like the rifle talk
Right.
on the side, and I'm like, huh.
Oh no,
And
I
then
would-
It's a fringe group.
It comes out and plays off later. I'm like,
Yeah,
maybe my 600 followers wouldn't be doing this.
Yeah.
I would do a Nerf gun.
But
version of
what
that.
I'm trying to get at is not that like you overstepped your boundaries, but the fact that like they kept it down to a number. I can see 500 crazy people.
that's
Oh, yeah.
that's the
I can
part,
see
man.
500
Yeah,
crazy
I can see
people
five.
in this much
Yeah.
like
in this area.
tens of thousands city. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And the fact that they're placed from like before we even know about them
Mm-hmm.
in the funeral scene
Yeah.
outside, it's like you don't really notice
It's
it.
almost like they're the real bad guy in the sense of the physical threat to the city
Because
because
he's not a physical threat.
yeah,
himself.
he's not a
He says
physical
it.
threat, and at the end, and before we get there, I didn't even know there was a physical threat. I didn't imagine there being like a final battle in the film. The other thing about the Riddler is his costume is so grounded and down to earth that I wasn't sure that I liked it going into the media. I was open-minded. I was like, oh, we'll see what the take is. But it's just like, you could just...
Anyone could do it.
Yeah, you could just make that costume for yourself. And it plays into that final act.
And it's very uncomfortable.
Yeah.
If I see someone like dressed as a Riddler for Halloween, because when the Joker came out, when Heath Ledger's Joker came out, everyone was, even they had that bit in the office where everyone was dressed like the Joker.
Right.
I feel if I see someone like that, I would feel uncomfortable because you can't see
worried
their
about
face.
you.
You can't see their face at all, so you really don't know their intention.
That's more unnerving
that's
than
more-
Heath's Joker because of how real it is.
And it's not cool, too.
Yeah, it's not
It's
cool.
not
It's
cool.
scary.
Like,
It's
if you come
terrifying.
here dressed like that, I'm not going to be like, oh, that's awesome from the Batman. I'm
No,
going to be like,
no.
You
what do
take
you-
that off, please.
Yeah.
School shooter vibes.
Yeah. Well, Paul Dano's Riddler is literally school shooter vibes. Like,
He did so good, man. Just seeing how he
and like
filmed.
those
He
parts where he
convinced
was
me,
just
man.
the parts where he was just like acting like, oh, he's all normal and like smiling. And
Hey guys.
hey everyone, thanks for all your help on detonators. Another point that we'll come back to the Riddler in a second and how he interacts, but
his relationship with Batman.
yeah, one of the things
Amazing.
that absolutely like made my jaw drop is the car chase sequence.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a high point. That's when I was like, this movie's amazing.
The music, everything, the cinema, the shots they chose. The Batmobile is beautiful, man. I think that's my favorite Batmobile.
And Penguin was amazing in that scene.
Yeah.
Because there's like amazing acting in the middle of the
a car chase.
Yeah.
How do you not die acting like
How do you not die when your car flips over 37
Right?
times?
No, I mean, he should
So
be
violently.
Like, clearly that car has a roll cage, but well, you know what? Maybe Penguin's car actually has a roll
you
cage.
know what?
Yeah.
You just
You know what I
convinced me. It's
Yeah.
reinforced. Like,
It's just
realistically, it is
so-
reinforced.
The tension that builds when he's revving up the engine.
That's what a Fast and the Furious car scene
Oh
should
my
be.
Bro, it was
goodness,
better than
man.
most
Fast, yeah.
almost
Yeah.
every Fast and Furious
It
movie
was-
in a Batman movie. That's insane.
Yeah. I remember when he revs up the Batmobile, I turned to Gabe and I'm like, freak Toretto.
Yeah.
But I didn't use freak.
It's
Forget
just so,
Toretto.
Oh, that would have been better, actually.
but
But then it wouldn't call back to
it's
Rocket
just
Raccoon.
it's like they personalized the Batmobile from the beginning shot where they're looking into the shadows and they're like, what's in the shadows?
Mhm.
It's like the revving of his engine is just like the effect that his footsteps have
Yeah.
coming through.
Yeah.
It's like you don't really see what that thing is. You could see the Penguin squinting and but the thing is, I love that everyone's reactions looking at it.
Mhm.
Catwoman comes out of nowhere, like pops her head and she's like, what's going on?
And they
Penguin
don't
pops his head.
overexpose anything.
Exactly. And I think that the tension building was a masterstroke. And then even the stalling, I think was intentional on his part.
Yeah. It's,
I mean, I think we've all
think
decided
it's-
it was
I was
intentional.
just confused the first time.
Yeah, I was like, did
Also,
he,
I don't know
did he
anything
mess
about
up?
cars,
I was
so
like, did he mess up? Like,
He can't drive manual.
but I
maybe
mean,
he should get a mechanic. And not do that.
again,
Also, by the way, the hints when we first go to the Batcave and you see all the car stuff
and the springs,
he's working on
even the classic car that he has.
Yes,
Mhm.
Gabriel pointed that out, and I was like,
What
"That's
is it?
amazing." Oh yeah, he
Corvette?
has a classic. What was it, like 1970 Corvette?
Yeah.
Beautiful Stingray, amazing.
You can
Like,
tell like this guy has an appreciation for classic cars. We're just
Uh-huh.
like, this makes sense.
American Muscle.
And
yeah.
it's, man, that car chasing was just so like, it's such a high for me.
mm.
That a lot of the movie's just basically being on a high. Like
How many people died during this chase sequence?
a lot,
too
man.
many.
Yeah, I have questions. Like, it's almost like this is a catch-22. It's a damned if you do, damned if you don't, because I feel like Nolan really goes out of his way to kill no one. And I have questions about, like, all the empty cars in that, like, you know when he's going in the bike in Dark Knight, and he's like, and he's just blowing up empty cars that are just kind of parked under the bridge in a line. I don't even know what's going on there.
So thoughtful.
But then here, clearly everyone is dead. And I also don't know how I feel about that, but I guess it's more realistic at least.
It's better than him shooting at people.
Yeah, there's collateral damage like up the wazoo in this chase sequence.
Yeah, I think this is the only time really that
Yeah.
Batman creates the collateral damage.
Yeah. I mean, you could argue that Penguin creates
I'm
the
pretty
collateral
sure Penguin
damage.
does
Oh, I
it.
mean that's
Yeah.
true. Actually, yeah, it's not
Yeah.
really Batman.
But it's
so.
almost like if Batman stops chasing him, he gets away, but like a lot of people get to live. So he's still learning, I guess.
Year 2.
Yeah. But he does go out of his way where he's like, no guns. And he's so Batman in this movie. Like,
Yeah.
Bat
Because the complete
cycle.
opposite of Batflick
Yeah.
with the gun. It kind of felt like
yes, guns.
It kind of felt like
vengeance.
it kind of felt like, hey, is this like making fun of the other guy when it says no guns? That's what I thought.
No, I mean, how could being true to the character somehow be making fun of another interpretation?
That says a lot.
The
about
problem
Batfleck.
is with that other interpretation.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's like, forget about how you feel about this particular individual. I'm not saying anything about it, but like you've heard Batfleck be compared to like basically Bat Trump, where he's like, say what you believe, act on it, violence, and like
Insurrection Bat?
Yeah, this is the opposite of that. In fact, that's the theme of this movie. It's like this means has these ends. Like, what is it? The violent means have violent ends,
Yeah.
right? That's
These
like the
violent
theme
delights,
here.
yeah.
And I think there's a place for like punitive punishment, and putting down the bad guys. But and I think I said this earlier, it must be restorative as well.
You see, this is the thing. Like Batman,
Batman is gospel.
there is a line. There is a line,
Mhm.
and they say it in this film.
Yeah.
You can't don't cross that line
Mm-hmm.
because once you do cross it, you're just gonna be like them.
Yeah,
Actions have consequences.
Yeah.
And
And
he has a reminder of that, like the bat, what do you
The
call it?
batarang,
Batarang
on the chest.
that's made out of the gun that killed his parents.
Is that true?
No,
I heard about that.
What? I thought that's what it was.
Why would
No.
why?
No.
What indicates that?
No, so like it was a theory. Like
Yeah.
there
Oh,
was
that's what I
something
thought
I
it was.
heard. Like
That's what I thought it was.
Like when the trailer came out, I heard about
Yeah,
that.
I
Because
And I was
then
like,
it-
I don't think
Because
that's
it wouldn't. It would be just one. It'd be like one metal. You get me? It wouldn't be like different things, like a puzzle, like how it is here.
I mean, he
That's why I
uses it as a
assumed it.
knife, so it is like a solid piece.
No, yeah, but it's still like
I mean,
a
you know how
puzzle type of
metal
thing.
works, right? When you melt it,
The-
it still becomes
Man,
one.
the thing is, like-
it wouldn't have cracks in it. Or
There's a
anything.
line with Batman, bro, and that's one of my biggest things with the Ben Affleck one. Is like this guy's just murdering people.
And there's no consequences.
This
He's
guy's
like
just murdering
pancaking
people.
18-wheelers and
It's like
just
he's
shooting
literally-
explosive gas tanks.
He's running through cars with
Yeah.
people in them. Like he's murdering these people.
Yeah.
And I don't know, like that whole
I mean,
that
he's-
whole
and he
view in
doesn't
a-
even stop to say rubber bullets or anything like that.
I'm rich. But there is a line, and this Batman goes out of his way. He's like, this is something that's important, and this is something he will not cross.
This
To the point where he's just like, if I can save somebody else from taking somebody else's life, I'm
Yeah.
gonna do that. The whole no guns thing, and then the whole like part where
he
Jim-
lives by a code, and that code is inflexible and perhaps even irrational, but it's the only way for him to walk the line. It's the only way to not get lost in the abyss.
I mean, it's how he separates.
and he needs to
himself.
live in absolutes.
And it was interesting because it's like that whole part where they go into the hospital to the orphanage,
Mhm.
and he goes in with Gordon, and Gordon pulls out his gun, and then Batman tells him, he's like, no guns, and then Gordon's like,
That's
yeah,
your
man,
thing.
that's your thing. You're telling a cop
Yeah.
not to use a gun,
Mhm.
but then it put into perspective. I'm like, oh wait, that's true. Like this guy's a law enforcement.
yeah.
This is
and-
all he has, though.
Yeah.
When Batman has all that stuff. He literally just has a gun.
The other thing is that holier than thou, like
Judge-
self-righteous Batman. I don't think we've seen that before on film, and it's so Batman.
He's so judgy.
yeah.
He's so judgy with Selena,
Mhm.
even with Gordon.
Even Gordon, yeah.
Like when in the police department, in the precinct, where Gordon's like, "All right, bro, calm down," and then Batman's just like, "You too, bro? Really?"
Yo,
Yeah.
just that line before though, when they ask when they say, "Oh, you arrest them, you assaulted a cop."
Oh, I have you assaulting 2 officers, and it's like it's about to be 3.
I'm like, oh my goodness.
His
Bro.
quips,
Wow,
his
he's so
quips,
quick,
his-
so quick.
He's so quick with them, and I think they were like they just added to him. They gave him like a swagger,
You're gonna get blood all over your suit.
and he's like, "What
Yours
is it?
or-
Like
yours or
mine,
mine?"
or yours?" His voice,
The voice.
Oh, the
his
voice.
voice is so good.
What an upgrade.
And I mean,
I
I think
didn't need-
that's a huge gripe.
I
that
didn't
people
need
have
the
with Bale.
subtitles.
That Bale has with his voice with the
Uh-huh.
raspy yelling and stuff like
Yeah.
that.
They
But-
digitized it, right? Starting with Dark Knight.
I don't know.
I think that's true. I think he does the voice, and then they try to like alter it digitally, which might make it worse.
Mm.
Kevin Conroy is the guy who created the two voices. Batman never had a different voice from Bruce Wayne until the animated series.
And that's why he's a GOAT.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Keaton has the same voice. Adam West had the same voice.
Even, I think no. In this one, he has two different voices.
He
right?
does
No,
have
he does,
that.
he does, yeah.
The subtlety of it, though.
He's so good.
I don't know where Batman begins and Bruce Wayne ends, especially because Bruce barely talks to anyone in this movie, which I'm also here for. A Bruce Wayne that's lost in his Batman-ness.
In his thoughts, too. I like the fact that he journals.
Yeah.
I think maybe that's a healthy outlet for him. Maybe more men should journal.
I mean, I agree with that, but he was just trying to remember his night.
I did like the parallels
It's a good
though.
way to journal.
I like.
Let this be our mental health tip of the episode.
You should journal,
Journal.
man.
Journal. If
I like-
Batman does it, you can do it.
I like the parallels. That goes into. I guess we'll talk about it now. The relationship between the Riddler and Batman. When they find Riddler's apartment and they're going through all this stuff, and he has all they find all the Riddler's ledgers,
Mm-hmm.
and you can tell this guy, like in his own way, he's doing the same thing.
He's also journaling.
That's true.
Ah,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay. Our
Psycho-
health tip: avoid journaling.
And
No.
avoid journaling cryptic messages
Yeah.
and lunacy.
Yeah. Like, be self-reflective. Don't be insane.
Yeah.
But I mean, that goes into where it's like when they capture the Riddler, he gives himself up because he's like, my plan's gonna work.
He
Because I also have because he thinks his Batman's on his side,
Yeah.
and I think we hear that
Which is so crazy.
we hear that earlier when he's talking to Selena.
Going back to the journaling and the investigation and all that, when Pattinson takes his shirt off, I'm like, okay, this is Bale, this is Affleck, this is our workout montage. Nope.
No.
He's taking his shirt off so he can move everything in the room so that he can start
So that
reading.
He can investigate.
Yeah, he's investigating. He's gonna sketch. He's gonna draw lines, open up file folders, read books.
I also thought it was gonna be a training montage. I'm not
Yep.
even
Nope.
gonna lie.
He don't need to train.
No.
He need to think.
Yeah.
And
Maybe a tan.
well, but he doesn't.
He's
'cause he
not
doesn't
going
have
He's
time.
outside, yeah.
So the relationship, the nuances in Paul Daniels' performance as the Riddler, the first time when he gets captured in the cafe and he sees Batman through the window and he smiles, I'm like, this son of a gun, because he knows this is all part of the plan.
Yeah.
The second time, no, that's a genuine smile. The second time I saw the movie, he's happy to see the Batman because the Batman's on his side.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Yeah.
He's his partner
Because-
in crime.
And I caught it the second time around where Selena goes, where she's talking about the issues of Gotham and how they only care about the privileged and the rich and the wealthy. He's like
The
"Man,
wealthy white man. You think
if
some
I-
people are
yeah.
gonna have problems with that line?
She's like, if I didn't know any better,
Not us.
if I didn't,
yeah, not us, but some people.
she's like, if I didn't know any better,
Ben Shapiro.
That's why he didn't like it.
That is what we just found out. We found the MacGuffin, the driving force of his hatred for this movie.
done.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
I'm not wrapping up the episode.
Selena goes like, if I didn't know any better, I'd say you'd help him, or you
Mhm.
work with him.
Yeah.
And I catch it the second time. I'm like, huh, that does make sense because it's like going into that whole conversation with Riddler. He's like, you're on my team, brother. You've done everything. You've helped me out. You've been the physical force that I've needed to get to this point. And you find out it's just like Batman's like, what? That fake out about like Riddler,
that was
like
a great fake out,
and
man.
Bruce Wayne. I was like, are they really doing this?
And
What is his Spider-Man?
listen, and I'm in tension with Batman from a narrative perspective. Like, oh man, he knows. But I'm also in the meta of it as a viewer of a film. I'm like, this could go bad. Like, if Riddler knows, it could be a bad ending to this movie.
Which would be something we've never seen before.
Yeah. Because it's almost like.
It's not even in the comics that many
yeah, it's
people
like,
know.
I think they
Oh,
do this in the
Batman-
comic too.
Batman.
And I think it
Is
happens in Hush,
Is it in-
actually, where like they hint that he knows, but he doesn't.
Yeah.
That's the riddle he can't figure out, even if he thinks he has.
It reminded me
That
of,
got me, man.
of Daredevil when his identity gets his, when everyone finds
Yeah.
out that he's Matt Murdock. I'm like, whoa, is this where we're going with this? Because I've never, I just got scared because I thought we were gonna get that from from this movie.
Yeah, the camera's recording, right? The light is on.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's
Which-
like panicking.
Which
oh yeah, I
which is
love that
what-
he directly checks to see if
Yeah.
someone's watching.
which is what puts the doubt in my heart, because I'm like, if the camera's recording, then Riddler doesn't know, right, guys? Because if this movie ends with everyone knows
knowing,
Bruce is Batman, we might disassemble
and then
3 hours.
and then Doctor Strange comes in and just
Hugo Strange.
No, it'd be Dr. Fate.
No, you mean the Marvel Doctor Strange? I thought Dr. Hugo Strange individually brainwashes everyone in
no.
Arkham.
Stephen Strange is like, bro, I did it for Peter. I can do it for you.
That's confusing that there's 2 Doctor Stranges, but
Yeah,
Dr.
they
Fate.
are both Doctor Stranges. Okay, so the relationship between the two, and how we said that these actions have consequences. I think Batman says that to Selina.
one time, right? That's it, right?
Says it once.
It's like he says it one time, but I'm thinking about it,
It
like
rings-
8 times.
It
in
rings.
the movie.
It rings throughout the whole movie, because it happens to everyone.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny because like we say like, oh, Batman.
Even the good actions.
Yeah, he was pretty like judgy and stuff like that, self-righteous
Mm-hmm.
about Batman's like preaching this to her. But then by the interrogation, like you realize like the actions that Batman has taken to become this symbol of fear and violence and vengeance has uplifted others. It's deterred people, maybe like saw at the beginning, it's deterred people from committing crime or scared them.
Mm-hmm.
But it has also had the opposite effect, where it's also been like, oh man, like he says, a little concentrated violence, and I'm not sure what the other half of that was that he says.
A spoonful of sugar. It helps the
recipe.
medicine go down.
He like you see like this person taking this action is inspiring stuff that he doesn't want to inspire.
Mhm.
He like he said like, we did this together. Batman's like, what are you talking about? And then once he finds out like he's in the clear, like he doesn't know who he is,
Yeah.
he's just like, he just roasts him basically.
Yeah, and I think that we talked
Does
about.
he do that on purpose? Because he gets very rough on Riddler there. I'm like, why are you being so mean to the poor guy?
Yeah, he really like tears them
Like,
down.
and it.
But I think he wants to like
Does
he- the other way.
Yeah, does he do that
I
on
think
purpose?
he wants to throw him off the scent.
Okay, there you go. Because I'm
You
like,
know?
wow, this is kind of uncharacteristic of you.
Yeah, I think he's like, I'm gonna go hard so that he doesn't stop to think about like that moment where I was very vulnerable, but I kept my composure. But I'm trying to figure out whether this
Okay,
guy
good.
knows or not.
Yeah, I love that he didn't react at all.
Yeah, I'm gonna ramrod.
But he didn't
right
react,
past
but
it.
you could still
But
see
yeah,
it
but
in
you
his
could see-
eyes.
The way he acts with his
But
eyes,
Riddler
man.
can't because
you see
he's holding back into the shadows. So we have a perspective of it, but he steps into the light once he figures out Riddler doesn't know. Once he says we and Bruce as something outside of Batman, then he comes in and then he
And it's just
So-
layers,
Yeah.
because that whole stepping into the light thing was like throughout the film too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is even, now I'm thinking about it, is even more like impactful once you get to the end of it. When he comes out and he's like, Batman's usually only out at night. When he comes out and he like becomes that symbol of
He's
hope,
helping people out.
he's
in the
helping
day.
people when the sun is rising.
Yeah.
Mhm.
He's not having to wait till nighttime to come out anymore. Like
Yeah.
he can be out in broad daylight, and I think that can play into what you wanted to say about your rope.
The cable.
Yeah.
The dreaded, awkward cable scene.
Okay, so what's awkward about
Wait, which
this?
scene?
Well, I didn't think it was awkward,
I
but I know.
awkward.
I
don't know
know.
what
I
you-
thought
what-
you
is
said.
it- I think
I
it-
thought you said it was awkward.
Is it the one
No,
with the
that was, I think you brother. I think
In
you-
my second
you
viewing, I
think it
did
was
think
awkward?
it was a little awkward.
What cable were you talking about?
the electric
the
one,
electric
like,
cable.
when he cuts
When he
it.
makes the sacrifice play and the film goes slow motion and the audio drops out and the dramatic music begins and he cuts the electrical cable and he falls seemingly to his death and then falls into the water and then just stands up like everything was
It was a
fine.
very short, like there wasn't really any time to be
He
like.
doesn't even
yeah.
stay submerged.
I was.
You would
I
think
didn't
that.
make. I didn't think he was gonna die for a second, because when he's talking to Alfred in the hospital, he's like, "I'm prepared to die. Like,
Yeah.
I'm ready to die for this." So I'm like, then they do this, and I was like,
They
"Oh,
frame
they
it
like they
that.
framed it like that. He's falling." I'm thinking, okay, electricity plus water. That's not good. That's what Pokemon's taught me. He's gonna die, and then I'm thinking, as that scene is happening, I'm thinking, is he gonna die? Have I read news that there's gonna be a sequel to this movie, or is it a standalone, or is this movie separate from the Snyderverse.
Yeah, and the thing is,
and that's what all this is going through my mind during that.
Yeah,
moment.
and we're free to speculate like that because it's like we got 3 Batman in play at this point. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and I think this is the end of Batfleck, but I have heard about continuing with Keaton. You know, so
Yeah, he's in another project. He's in what's the CW show?
Batgirl is on HBO Max.
Okay, so that one. He's on Batgirl.
Yeah, Batwoman is
Bro,
on.
CW.
just make Keaton like grumpy Batman.
I
from-
think that is.
I think that's
what
we're
gonna
gonna get.
from
Beyond.
Batman Beyond.
I do think that's what you're gonna get.
Are we gonna get a
think
Terry
so.
McGinnis?
Not that.
No, I think
That's
it'll
what I
be
want.
Batgirl.
I want that. Or make the Clint Eastwood.
Okay, it's Clint Eastwood's like 100 now. at this
All right,
point.
continue, Danny.
Where I don't even remember what I was saying.
The rope, like we talked.
Oh, the
about, you thought
cable.
It was awkward. Cable.
No, I mean I've heard a lot of people have that.
No,
gripe.
I've seen it. I've seen that online. What?
What are you laughing?
Continue, Danny.
That I cut him
He
off?
thought- and then you cut him off.
No, I mean that's fine.
I was just trying to back up his point.
No, I've seen people have that gripe.
I've seen it too. I've seen that. People,
Yeah, he's seen it, and he's seen. Link,
We've
you
all
wanna
seen it.
chime in? Have you seen it?
I haven't seen it.
Oh, okay.
Oh, he
Either
can't
die the
chime in.
hero or live long enough to see yourself become the villain.
Yeah, they have that gripe where they're like, "This is a really weird scene. This is like really awkward, out of place." But I immediately like justified it in my mind.
Go. What was your justification?
I
for
justified it as like the death of vengeance and then the rise of Batman, like a hopeful Batman.
That's like he got baptized.
Exactly.
It was a
It
baptism.
was
it?
a baptism.
There we go.
That was all set up for that.
So many puns.
I messed
So
with
many.
it. I messed with it. I did think it was awkward. If you explain it to me like that, I think that makes sense.
I
That
think
works-
that's
that
what
works for me.
I think
Yeah.
that's what he was going
Yeah.
for, because it's not like a death fake
It
out
works,
at
it
all.
works for me.
I still think maybe there's a version where he like disappears after that, but not where the rest of the movies go. This is what I thought. I thought about what is that Snyder comic where like there's the earthquake and then him and the Joker quote unquote
Year
die.
Zero? Year Zero?
Is it Year Zero? Which this just led into. We've destroyed Gotham. The Riddler's behind it. So I thought, oh, this is another pull from Year Zero where Batman like forgets who he is. Like Batman dies and Bruce has amnesia and he's like doesn't know where he is.
Maybe the electricity, that shock, is what changed his heart.
It made his heart grow
Yeah.
2 sizes.
Exactly.
Maybe it was the Sarlacc
It
pit.
gave him.
Oh yeah, and then now Batman's gonna take off his helmet, walk around,
Walk around with the cowl in his hand and apologize to
Yeah,
everyone.
be like, sorry, guys.
I'm sorry I punched you. I'm Batman.
I do. I actually really like that. I subscribe to that.
No,
Thank
that's
you
an
for
ascribe-
ascribing.
ascribing.
to my-
Subscribe to that.
Now,
yeah.
now this is just purely from you. Like,
Yeah, I mean that was my justification to it.
Nah, yeah,
instantly.
he said that right after
Yeah.
the film.
Because they were talking. My brother had mentioned how it was like an awkward scene. I was like, I didn't think that because I immediately saw it as the death of vengeance and the rise of Batman.
yeah,
Which is like, I think he's the only one that says Batman once in the film.
yeah. All the letters from the Riddler are
Like
Yeah,
it says,
to-
like
yeah,
it
to
says
the
to the
Batman,
Batman.
To the Batman.
But yeah, everyone's vengeance,
Everyone's just calls him
vengeance.
vengeance. I really like that touch.
I really like.
Which I think, well, what is it? When he thinks that they know his identity, and then he tells Gordon right before he tells him he's a good cop, he's like, I think this is coming to an end. And Gordon's like, what is? He's like, the Batman. But yeah, any other points that you?
This movie sucked.
The whole, like, I think we touched upon it before. The whole theme of him being vengeance, being the symbol of fear, being the violence, the
And
terror
That's
of
all
night.
Frank Miller right there.
And actions have consequences, and they will continue to have them because he's going to be a symbol of hope, and that's going to be the driving force for Gotham. But he's still going to continue to moonlight and beat up criminals to a pulp. And there's always going to be that duality now. He knows something greater beyond the original scope of his mission, but that aspect is still going to continue to create new villains, inspire new rogues, and it's almost like a never-ending cycle.
Yeah,
So I don't know where it's going.
but I think with
We forgot to mention something really big.
Which is?
The Joker appearance.
Oh,
You mean the one forced by the studio?
Yeah.
I don't think that's true.
It felt like it.
Sorry, I totally cut you off, but I was like doing a mental checklist. I was like, I gotta make sure we hit every note. But
That's like the second to last scene. Of
I
the
hated
film.
it, by the way.
Hated? Hate is a very strong word.
I disliked it greatly.
No, it's
by
okay
the
if you
way.
did hate it, but so did you hate it or did you dislike it?
Nah,
greatly?
man, I hated it. I didn't want to see the Joker.
Is that
But I understand. Yes, everyone says there can't be a Batman story without one mention
I
of the
disagree with
Joker.
that.
I also disagree with that, but I get it. I
What?
disliked it.
I think we have
What?
like,
Say why?
I disagree that you can't have a Batman story without a mention of the Joker.
you have to mention him.
No, I disagree with that statement that you can't have a Batman.
No, you can't. Yeah, I agree with you.
you can. You can
Bat-
have 50
Oh.
Batman stories
'Cause
without mentioning
Batman's
the Joker.
mentioning the
Rogues Gallery is so good.
So
I would
It might
love
be
if
the-
Joker never showed up in
Yeah.
the series. If they made 3 movies, ended it, moved on, and the Joker never showed up.
Batman's Rogue Gallery is so good and deep, and what we only see like 3 of them, 4 of them. Like,
'Cause- 'cause
come on,
it's-
give us other people.
Yeah, because it's like we have the Joker and Penguin and Catwoman, and then we have Scarecrow and Raish and the Joker,
Mr.
and
Freeze.
Bane, and then we have that movie doesn't exist. And then we have. And now we have the Joker, and the Joker's in Suicide Squad, and the Joker's in his own movie, and the Joker's in the Snyder Cut.
You don't need.
Yeah.
You're over.
I
Saturated.
did not
Overexposed,
want to
yeah.
see the Joker in this movie. I think that was like, obviously it doesn't ruin the movie.
We've
for
had
me,
3
but-
Jokers in 3 years. Like,
Exactly. It kind of. I'm like, dang man, I don't want them to keep reaching for.
there's
this
more Jokers
character.
than Batman at this point.
There really is.
Like in recent history.
I honestly want a Mr. Freeze movie.
I want to see
Because-
Poison.
I think
Ivy,
he's
if
down.
I'm being
I think he's down to do that.
I think Mr. Freeze would be a good one because, I mean, especially if you make it poetic, like in the Dark Knight. I mean, like
I want Hush.
in Hush. That's another one you haven't done.
Poison Ivy, Hush,
Especially because they
Mr.
ruined
Freeze,
the
it's gotta
animated
happen.
Hush movie.
So-
So it's the original
And
story.
and
is
you
still on
and
the-
you do see some Hush clues there, hints
I
every
think
once in
so.
a while.
I
We have
I want the
Elliot-
true villain
Elliot-
of Batman. Zack
Which
Snyder.
is-
Zack Snyder.
But I do think it'd be cool to have
Vengeance.
a Mr. Freeze because I love the Mr. Freeze from the animated series
It
and
depends how crazy and supernatural he's gonna
I
get.
think he can do it, bro.
I think he can do
yeah,
it.
if there's someone that can do it, it'd be him because I just love that Mr. Freeze from the
Yeah.
animated series and how poetic he is, and
Mhm.
that's such a like
I
great villain that we can't
Man.
that Arnold probably ruined.
don't pin that on Arnold.
I don't.
He was trying his
because
best.
I really love it because it makes me like his lines are so terrible that I love them.
Now you guys sent that video of Matt Reeves talking about that Joker scene and like his kind of rationale for it. I don't know if you want to share really quick for those that might not have seen it.
I don't think I saw it.
You didn't
I
see it,
feel
Link? So
like-
if you want it for Link, if you could explain it to him.
I feel like you had a deeper understanding of it than I, because I'm
Okay.
having a hard
Yeah, I
time.
think you- I
every
think you
point.
explained
you
it.
were
Yeah,
explaining. I'm like, oh,
Okay,
yeah,
I
he did
think
say that.
specifically in regards to the Joker, he mentioned that.
reverse.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I explained this, but can you explain it?
Yeah,
Oh, wait,
reverse
never mind.
card.
I'm gonna.
I think you have a grip on this. Basically, there was a scene that he cut that he promised. He didn't promise, but he said he would. So I'm gonna take it as a promise. He said he'll show it to us later, so I expect it as a deleted scene once it comes.
We'll give us a reverse
So-
Reeves cut.
I actually expecting the special features on HBO Max in
Oh,
45
so am I.
days. Yeah.
So am I actually.
There was a scene that he cut where Batman goes to Arkham for help with this Riddler case, and he needs the advice of a similar profile, and basically the Joker serves in the middle of this movie as the Hannibal Lecter character in solving this Silence of the Lambs-esque crime. So we would have seen him in a practical role where he serves a purpose and then come back to him at the end where they're put, in lockup next to each other.
That would make more sense.
That would make more sense.
I would
'cause
agree.
it wouldn't
and
have
it
felt
wouldn't forced.
tacked on
Yeah.
at the end. Yeah.
Correct me if I'm wrong. I mean, I know I reflected it back to you, but did he? I feel like he mentioned a part where this
Now
was
he's gonna pick
before.
apart my intro.
No. Before the Joker. This
Mhm.
would be like before he becomes this character.
Yeah,
of
he's
the
not the Joker yet. Because he's even to this moment credited as unnamed Arkham.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he's not the Joker yet, but I think this would have been more clearly established
Yeah.
with this previous scene. Because we wouldn't have seen him in full Joker garb. He wouldn't have been in maybe even make. I believe his take on it, which was a fresh take cinematically, but hearkening back to his origins, his inspiration of the man who laughs, where he has
That was great.
I did like that,
congenital
though, yeah.
disorder that makes him permanently smile. And that would have been a fresh take, and that would have been amazing. And he probably wouldn't have been white and had red lipstick. So we would have seen this insane person that will be the Joker, a nameless no one who is going to be bad news for Batman in the future. I think this all sounds incredibly better. I'm guessing it ended up on the cutting room floor because we're already just minutes away from a 3-hour plus mark. But I think you cut the last scene too.
Yeah.
I agree with that. I think you take both of them out.
Yeah. Either the story's there or it's not, you know. But that's my one. Okay, so I don't think it's a hot take, but that's my one gripe with the movie.
That's also my one. I didn't ruin the movie, obviously, but it did kind of like, I was like, man,
Everything
I
in that
didn't wanna
movie
see
is
that.
so good. I feel like that's the one part that it's like I'm not in love with.
Right.
Like I'm in
Yeah.
love with everything else.
That's why I said be honest. Do you hate it? I don't hate it. I just don't love it. I don't.
I don't know.
It doesn't ruin anything for me.
It doesn't
Except
ruin
the perfect
anything,
score, maybe.
but it did. It was like a little bit of a punch in the gut.
Yeah.
I was like, I didn't
Oh,
want to see that.
It's almost like fumbling at the 1 yard line.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
then it's just a quick like pass over to get the touchdown.
I got
anyways.
over it quickly, but in
Yeah.
that second, I was like,
You just
crap.
have to hand it off to get the touchdown, in the next play anyways. But there's always like, oh, it could have been a little more beautiful, a little more graceful. That's me. That's my gripes. Gripes with the movie. The Joker, maybe that slow motion scene. Like, maybe don't play it up as such a big, deal. And then my other one, this is a gripe that I don't think I've even shared with you. I love the squirrel suit. Oh, I love that moment where he goes to jump off the building.
We didn't even talk about that.
And he's
Crap.
so scared, like, because this is the first time, even though he's been Batman for 2 years, he probably hasn't jumped off a building yet. But he wears that squirrel suit and he jumps off to glide. And then I think it's kind of awkward, like his face, like in the camera with the.
Kind of reminded me of.
Have you seen those videos though? Have you seen like the?
I'm gonna
people
be honest
jumping
with
in
you.
those suits?
Like the actual people, like
Yeah.
the people. Yeah, I mean, it's
Like,
pretty.
Is that what it looks like?
It's
yeah.
really accurate to that.
Oh.
Isn't that from?
That's
that,
why, like, I
isn't that
heard
from
that
that
complaint,
movie?
and it looks like awkward,
It
but
looks
it's like
awkward in
I've
the
seen
movie.
Yeah.
the
Because
footage
that's
from
what it
that, and
actually
it's like it
looks
looks like
Well,
that.
you know what it is though? That looks real, but the rest is a movie, so there's like a dissonance there.
That's
because the rest of it doesn't look like a documentary. I'm not watching,
and then he dies.
You're not
'cause he
watching
hits
Highlander.
a bridge.
Bro, that
and-
guy died.
yeah, and then he
Yeah.
hits a bridge and dies.
Yeah.
Which I like that they showed that, but at the same time, it's like he gets up pretty
Yeah, could he
quick
be decapitated, right? But then when he gets up, he looks like Daredevil. So
without the cape.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, you know what? I felt that. I was like,
He's like,
You know, now that you mentioned Daredevil, another I think it's cool is that the action in this movie really reminded me of the Daredevil show.
I thought I had
Yeah.
that same thought,
And
man.
it's like, man, it's and that actually so
that's why it's cooler than
yeah, it's
Daredevil.
cool. Yeah, I just thought that was so cool. The action in this movie is so
He's
good. The fight
everything
scenes.
cool about every BA character we have nowadays, all wrapped
Just
into one.
yeah, the one.
A lot of action, man. The pacing was fat. It felt like honestly, again, I don't want to mention the Arkham games again, but the pacing felt like an Arkham game where it's like you fight a group and then it slows down a little bit, but you get right back into it so seamless.
Yeah, and even in the final fight, when the fight gets big and you're like tying them up on the rafters with the ropes, you're setting out
Yeah.
bombs so that you could
Yeah.
come down.
Man, his entrance.
Take
His
them out
entrance.
through the
Yeah,
floor.
that final entrance,
Yeah,
man.
I didn't expect that at all.
Beautiful.
Ultimately, that was the measuring stick, the Nolan movies. And I came into this movie where everybody was asking me, do you think it's going to be better than Nolan? And I was like, no, I think it's going to be, my hope is that it is as good in a different way. Because I knew it was going to be a detective story, smaller, more grounded, if that was even possible. Apparently it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. But then at the end of the movie, you have the big mega, like big budget blockbuster battle with the special effects and everything. I was like, oh, this has everything though. That the
Yeah,
Nolan movie is.
Gabe mentioned that it felt like a trilogy in one movie,
Mhm.
and I was like, yeah, man, I felt
It's
that.
complete. And like,
It's
I
complete.
mean, we talked about it. I was like, man, as much as like I would love to get more of this universe, I would not be upset if like
No,
it's just one.
not
and
at
done.
all, man.
I
would
kind of
be-
wanted Batman to die at the end because I was like, for a
just
moment,
don't get
this
up.
is perfect.
It's like
though.
don't get up.
Yeah.
It's perfect. Like whatever can come after, like it may be good, but it's like I don't know. Like this moment in time that I'm watching this, it's just like for me, it's kind of surreal in a way. It's like
Mhm.
this is such a great, like it's just an achievement. It's a masterpiece for me, in my opinion. And it's like I never really thought we would get that. Like something would measure up to The Dark Knight or
Mhm.
Batman Begins in those sense. But it's like it was just so crazy that it's like at this point in my life, it's like wow, there's a Batman movie that's like for me, I think it surpassed it. And like yeah, I'm caught up in the hype, and obviously we'll reevaluate, we'll reassess.
As good.
But yeah, it's just as good, and I mean, there's so many aspects that I think are different and that I probably enjoy more.
Mhm.
But I wasn't expecting. I watched the Dark Knight trilogy the day before I watched it the first time.
That's
I'm
bold.
I was like, no shot. I was like, these movies are so good, and Christian Bale's one of my favorite actors, and I was like, can it really measure up? And
Dang, plurals.
it did.
I walked out thinking, is this the best Batman movie? And I don't do that. I try not to act impulsively on an emotion, but I felt like it was coming from a logical place.
Yeah.
for sure.
My one gripe with the movie is that at the end, when they're in that motorcycle scene with him and Selena, with him and Selena, when they separate, I think that they should have fist bumped at the end.
I mean, that would have been cool.
Right? Like
Kind
a
of like
little-
Paul Walker and
Yeah, exactly, little
Dominic
fist bump.
I think the cinematography is so beautiful, and right after, I mean that awkward scene, the symbolism of him like getting up out of the water, and he's just like, I gotta do what I gotta do. I gotta do the work. Lights up the flare, walks over to people, and he helps the people after he's just like been shot by a shotgun to the chest, like he's almost died like 16 times. He gets up and still moves, like helps the people that are in the rubble. He's doing the work, like you said,
Mhm.
and he's reaching out his hand, and they're still scared of him. This guy just saved all of them, but they're still scared of him. And then it's the little boy who he stares at, who at his
he's been looking at.
yeah, who his father got killed at the beginning, and like he's
been
helped him.
sympathizing with him,
And
the
it's
whole
like
time.
you see the parallel because he stares at him as Batman, but he also stares at him as Bruce. And I think they have a lot of those different like they have a couple of those parallels, especially like in the club too, I believe, with the twins. But the kid is the first one to go.
Mhm.
The kid is the first one to go and reach out and take his hand, and then everyone follows.
Yeah, it's what gives him hope. Like we can. Oh, if this kid is trusting him, we can trust him.
Exactly. And the part where he starts the monologue and he learns that he has to become something more.
Mhm.
It's something I didn't think I was gonna get from a Batman movie.
Yes.
It was something that it's like it pushed the character in such a new cinematically. This pushed it in such a different stratosphere. It elevated the character for me in a way I didn't know that I could do it. They could do it, and I think that it's so impactful. Him carrying that person as the sun rises
Mhm.
to get help to take them away, and the person like doesn't want to let go of him.
Mhm.
When right before people were afraid to take his hand, people were
Yeah.
afraid of him because he was fear, he was vengeance. But he realizes that he does have an effect, and it's not the one that he intended. But he realized that he has to become something more for the people of Gotham to be elevated, to believe in something, because they use that phrase like, I believe in Gotham. The mayor says it because she believes in it. But it kind of seems like the entire city is just kind of like, we don't really believe it anymore. It's kind of hopeless. And he realizes like, I don't just have to be vengeance or fear. Like, that's not what they need. They need someone that they can believe in to be a better person, to uplift them. And the part where like she's just grabbing onto him and I don't want to let go, and he has to comfort her. I thought that was so powerful and impactful, and it was beautiful to me.
It was redemption.
It was redemptive.
It was a character arc right there in that
Yeah.
one movie.
Yeah.
Like he actually learned that, and I love. I mean, I don't know word for word, but I mean, I'll definitely be looking it up. He's like, people need that symbol like of hope so that they can endure, that they can have the strength
Mhm.
to fight and keep going.
Yeah.
And I thought that was beautiful because it comes down to one of the things that I love, like in all of these things, which is hope.
And that belief that faith, it's universal. Whether you're a female mayor or that privileged white kid that lost his parents, it doesn't matter whether you are disenfranchised, unfortunate, whether you've had everything spoon-fed, or whether you were born into nothing. All of us need the faith to dare to hope for a better tomorrow, to overcome everything that this dark city does to eat away at our soul, to chip away at who we are as human beings. And because of that, we need symbols. That flashing bat in the sky that tells us that someone, somewhere, is looking out for us. That there are consequences to our actions, but there is a reward for our faith. And those symbols are universal. And they mean different things to different people. And they may look different. They may wear different faces from decade to decade. But we recontextualize that symbol. We recontextualize what hope means for us in this generation. We redefine, we redevelop, and we look for that one thing to propel us forward. And sometimes that comes in the shape of a silent guardian, a watchful protector, a dark night. Patrolling the night, searching for justice.